Hello out there. Those of you who've been waiting. I see you. I know you're there. And I'm glad you've been waiting. Hello. I hope you're doing well. Um okay. Yo, how's it going, Slay? Sorry, I got messages and I had to look at them because they were to do with tomorrow and my D&D game. But welcome. Welcome back to Table Talk, discussion and discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Right on 95. Hey, Indigo. Just hiding in the shadows. Fuck yeah. That's good. Everybody likes hiding in the shadows. Um, so, we're going to be talking about 4E again today. And it's just going to be me, unfortunately, for you guys. Aiden is still without internet, and Boo is suffering from the after effects of a sinus infection. So wish him well. And if you're in the VOD, wish him well in the comments, and I'll read it for him next time. But his voice is like fucked. It's like destroyed. It doesn't hurt him anymore, which is good. But it is absolutely destroyed. I was playing Payday with him not too long ago, and yeah, it wasn't, it was very scratchy, and gravelly, in fact. Um, Comes in wearing a 4E sucks shirt. I'm an embodiment of people's collective ignorance against D&D 4E. Yeah, basically. Hope he gets better. Yeah. Oh, he'll be fine. Probably by next week he'll be back. He'll be back. Okay. But yeah, so today I'm going to be talking about 4E with you guys, and we're going to see how this goes. Hopefully I don't get too upset. We'll see how it goes. I have no one to rein me in. It is just me. So, get prepared for me to get upset. I doubt it. I don't know, man. At this point, people who are like, fuck 40, it's like, why? You just go, why? And then they go, oh, it's bad. And then you go, why is it bad? And they're like, oh, you can't roleplay in it. Or whatever those. What was the guy who we covered the last time on episode 100 who was like, the rules make it so you can't roleplay. That was, I hate that. That was so annoying because it's so dishonest. So yeah, we'll see what we get to. I have a video lined up that's absolutely against 4E. I have one that is more in favor of it, and I have one that's more neutral towards it, though I don't know how it'll go. Talk dirty to me and convert me. Well, I mean, I hope you. There's not too much more that I can say other than 4E is fine. I don't understand why people are so angry about it and actually hate it, quote unquote. They don't hate it. They just really don't like it, and that's fine. All gas, no brakes. Yes. Um, I don't know if I read that before, but it just hit me again. If I did. So, like, this is the thing, and I talked to NoNet once, Brogan, about this. When I was saying what we were gonna do today, and I was like, look, if people just said they don't like it, and they just don't like the way that it is, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. You can just not like it, right? But when people quite literally say, hey man, the book itself, sorry, the rules itself makes it so it's harder to roleplay. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? And when they go, oh, the combat takes forever, I look at every D&D game and I go, what do you mean? So, and to be fair, and I'll give this again as a disclaimer, we haven't played 4E yet. That will happen at some point, but we haven't played it necessarily. The issues that are from experience, from actually playing that kind of stuff, those ones might be entirely valid, in the sense of I don't like it because it takes too long when combat happens, which could be the case, I guess. But again, I look at every edition and I go, the combats just kind of last a long time most of the time, right? 4E's is fine is the kind of dirty talk I want. Seriously, though, delving into different systems has opened my mind to giving less mainstream TTRPGs a chance, and I'm willing to make an attempt with 4E. Yeah, oh, absolutely, as you should. This is the thing. Again, we've talked about it before as well, and I'll say it again. This stream, this show, everything about it, it should be a space that you can go, 4E is fine, or I don't like 4E, and everyone can go, okay, that's fine, right? They can literally just like, and we don't have to be like up in arms about it, right? We don't have to say, oh, it's the worst thing ever. And it's like, what do you mean? It's the worst D&D ever. It's like, I disagree. Just from reading the books themselves, I disagree. I don't think any of them are the worst ever. If I had to pick one to be the worst, I would have to think about it a lot, because I don't think I could judge them without it being just a subjective opinion. But I would have to like actually think about it like a lot. But anyway, before we get to 4E stuff, as I'm saying more 4E stuff, I do want to make a little bit of a little housekeeping announcement thing. I talked about it a little bit on the Discord, and you might have noticed watching back through all that shit. When I come to streams for hot takes and controversial topics, I better see some pitchforks if the stream is a failure. Fair. Don't worry, I'll still get mad if the person's being real dick for no reason, right? Anyway, so a little housekeeping. If you have seen it, we don't have to talk about it too much, but I did go back into one of the previous episodes, and I removed a segment out of it, of a video that we covered, because the creator reached out and was like, hey man, could you do that for me? And now I won't name any names, and I won't dwell too much on this, as I said, but the reasoning was that they just didn't want to associate themselves with the channel because of a certain wow kind of guy on the right there, being used as an icon for a profile. Now that's fair enough, sure. My brain immediately went, and I didn't say this, but I will say it right now. My brain immediately went, our association starts and ends with you. We have never associated with you. We have just covered a video, a public video that we criticized. So it's like, that's as far as it goes. So, you know, again, I did it already. It's gone. It is redacted. So I gave him that much, mostly because it was a positive take, mostly on the video, with very little negative criticism, but some good positive stuff, right? So looks like I walked in the middle of something. Welcome, Lux. I'm just explaining some stuff. But regardless, I'm not gonna be doing that in the future. I just did it this one time for this one person, just because of that one kind of reason, which I don't even agree with the reason, but it's mostly because it was a positive thing, and if they don't want the positive at all, that's fine, you know? So, don't expect any more redactions, because what we're doing is entirely fair use, because we are doing transformative content. Even if we watch the entirety of a video, we're going for the context, and we're making sure that no one is taken out of context. And we're arguing either for or against things, as well as giving little tips and such for videos. As well as just talking about shit that the videos inspire, and going into that a lot of the time more so than your videos, right? I don't think that we're not doing anything bad, right? About that. You can go watch the videos every time. I strongly recommend going and watching the videos on your own. They are always in the description every time. And if I forget, hound me about that shit, because I will go and put it in, right? I want to give credit, as I always do. The people make these videos, and regardless of if we think they're good or not, they made the videos, right? You should be able to go and watch them on your own and make your own decisions, right? And obviously, we're never saying to go and you know, say anything to those creators or comment anything on their videos or anything. We are just showing them off and giving our own opinions about them, right? So, and I think there's a place for that, and I don't think that you know, not doing that, I think that if we weren't doing that, it would be like the platform would be much worse. Not because of us, don't get me wrong. I just mean in general, if this wasn't happening as a thing that you could do, by criticizing some content and hoping that things get better, either because of your criticism or just in general from other people seeing your criticism and then going, maybe I should make something that's more in line with the criticism. And again, it also opens up the discussion of, is our criticism always fair? There are times when it probably isn't in some cases. I don't know. The what is it? The RPG pundit video has been brought up a couple of times as one of the ones that we misunderstood. And I'm glad that it has been said and that some people have pushed back on it. Because as you should always be critical, especially of people that are criticizing. Make sure that their arguments hold true or their rationale holds true, right? Their logic. So yeah, that's all the housekeeping I wanted to do before we get into the thing. I apologize for this taking a little while. I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've done a proper episode, and again, I apologize that it is just me. But hopefully next week, we'll have at least Boo, if not Aiden as well. Hello, Lux, do you have your pitchfork sharpened and ready? That's a good question. So, now, moving on to 4E content. I have found a video that has been called Playing the Worst Edition of Dungeons & Dragons 4E by Eternal Newbie. Again, the link will be in the description when this goes as a VOD, so please do look. And I will, in fact, you know what? I'll even put it in this description right now. Here we go. Pitchfork and Arrow Taylor both ready to go. Don't know who we're mad at, but I'm always up for combat. There you go. That name is telling. So, I don't know. I listened to the first few seconds, and the guy legitimately says that he hates 4E. So I don't know what's going on already. I don't know where we are. Which just is, but we'll see how it goes. So, this is the Eternal Newbie, and again, playing the worst edition of Dungeons & Dragons 4E. Here we go.
Hello, I'm the Eternal Newbie. The extra L is for loathe, because today we are going to talk about something I loathe. 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Before I begin, a couple of caveats. First, this video is going to be different as it's an angry Eternal Newbie video. I have never done one of these before, but 4E legit pisses me off, so if you're a 4E fan, this video probably isn't for you.
Alrighty, it's just like, so you're already alienating people from listening to your opinion. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean that they can't listen to you about this. Like, I know people might not like anything or a lot of the things that we say, but we're still here for you to listen to and either say yo or no. I wonder if that misspelling of eternal is intentional. Yes, apparently it is. I doubt it's for loathing, like he says. And by the way, I retract and put in that he said that he hated it. He said that he loathes it, which is a different term for that. So we'll see.
Also, there's probably going to be a lot of cursing in this one. I don't think I'm going to censor most of it. So, be warned.
Ugh.
And number 2, or 3 I guess, because I just added the cursing thing. I played around 10 sessions of 4E so far. I'm no expert. Let's face it, not being an expert has never stopped anyone online from complaining, so let's do it.
Okay, fair enough. So majority of 4E players have never played it, never read it, and aren't willing to give it an honest try. Apparently he's done 10 sessions of it, so this is already a good start. We have somebody who's actually had experience with it to the point that they can feel strongly about it. And the whole not being an expert comment. Who cares? Who cares, right? I would think that a video talking about his dislike will have pros to it rather than call something the worst because of his personal preference. I hope so, because again, personal preference is very subjective, but when he says quite that it is the worst, when it says the worst, that means that there's some quality of it that makes it the worst in general, right? It makes it so that this is a statement of quality, right? Which is objective, unfortunately. Now, if he just said, I don't like it because it's not for me, again, completely different statement. I would have been like, oh, okay, so I don't need to worry about this, right? Like, we're just talking about what you don't like about it. But in that thing as well, he could say something like, I don't like it because I think the rules themselves make it so that, roleplay is less viable in 4E as it is to any other Dungeons and Dragons game. In which case, I would go wah, because that would be an actual statement of, that would be an actual statement of a fact, which is not a fact because we have gone over this, right? So we'll see. If you did play it 10 sessions doesn't like it, I can respect that more. Exactly. Yeah. If you play it and you don't like it, that's fine. At least Elf is in a class. Oh. True.
Now you might be wondering, hey newbie, why learn 4E? It's a dead game. Might as well learn to speak Ancient Babylonian or play the harpsichord.
I want to hear his response to it. I won't say anything until then, but where are we going? What's with the setup here?
Perhaps a new exciting career as a telegraph operator. The answer is quite simple, my friends. I am an idiot. Let's start with a story. A young, middle-aged, fresh-faced newbie finishes a 5e campaign. So goodbye, Flood. You were awesome. But the DM wants to do something different, so comes up with some choices. Sadly, the giant robot fighting one is shot down, but my second choice is not. Huh? I've never played 4E, but it could be fun. I mean, 5E is awesome. How bad could 4E be? I am sure somewhere in the darkest, deepest pits of hell, the creators of 4E cackled at my stupidity.
Okay. Oh, I already hate that logic. It's old, therefore you shouldn't care. Exactly. Like... 3.5 is very fun to me. Again, it was already, quote-unquote, far dead before before I started playing it. Okay? I learned this back when 5e had come out. I played it a lot back when 5e was out and starting to, like, actually rise in popularity. I guess I shouldn't have tried it because it was old as shit. Now, again, he's talking about a metaphorical person, I guess, but he's also making this sound like it was a bad decision on his part because those metaphorical people might have told him otherwise to not try it, right? And again, I suddenly want to learn Ancient Babylonian. Yeah, like, Latin's dead, right? Latin is actually dead. I love Latin. I don't know a lot of Latin, but I like using Latin. It's a great language to use, so I suppose it's not technically dead. I don't know. I have no idea. What is it actually considered a dead language? Because if it is, then I could probably just look that up. But regardless, like, what if I could we say the same thing about anything? A game, a board game, fucking Monopoly? That shit's old as dirt. Why should I play that? Like, I don't know. He seems to be off satiric so far. I hope so. I don't know, because again, it's considered dead because it doesn't change anymore. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. Latin's a dead language, but I use it all the time as an inspiration or just as a thing that is cool to look at. The point overall is, yes, something that's old is not something that immediately makes it so that you shouldn't care. People play Go, that's only 2,500 years old. Exactly, right? Like, again, I hope this is satire, but I can't tell.
After all, it said every time a player joins 4E, a devil gets its wings.
Yeah, he's like, again, he's just completely going into, and this is hyperbole, this is supposed to be a joke, I assume. Fucking, I use Latin all the time in my animes. There you go. I assume, Mancala was first played around 6000 BC. I love Mancala. I haven't played Mancala in forever. I should play that again. It's really fun. Legitimately though, we're painting it as it is literally like bad in the way that it is evil and like the spawn of Satan, right? Like, again, worst? No. Spawn of Satan? No. It's fine. It's just, I need your reasoning, sir.
I was excited. I was playing a double scimitar wielding fighter, a whirling dervish of death, or so I was told. We get into our first battle, and I go up into the enemy and I hit them. And then I rear back to land a mighty blow with my other weapon. When the DM tells me I can't attack the same enemy twice with my weapons. The fuck? What, I'm a T-Rex all of a sudden? I wish. In case you didn't know it, in 5e a T-Rex has to split its attacks, which makes sense. Its biter and its tail are pretty far apart.
Okay, sure. So again, we have to also remember that this guy came from 5e into 4e, which again we've covered it. It's not that different. The children love Satan by transitive property. That must mean they love 4e. That's true. There's an old Egyptian archaeologist Stig that found a D20 once. Hey, there you go. But okay. So let's. I don't know what level he is. Maybe he'll get into it, but I have my totally legitimate copy of 4E's Player's Handbook right here, right now. So let's go to Fighter. That's on page 75, I believe, here. 75. Fighter. So he was a two-handed fighter. Or two-weapon fighter. Okay. Let's see. Fighter weapon talent. Choose either one-handed or two-handed weapons. When using a weapon of your chosen style, you gain +1 bonus to attack rolls. So it's either one-handed or two-handed. So you get one-handed or two-handed. Let's see. Fighter powers. At that moment, you only have things that hit one enemy. One enemy. Enemy. I'm just looking at the fighter powers right now, you know? Okay. I'm not seeing anything that says you can hit multiple enemies just yet, though again, I don't know. Let me go to, I guess, just levels? Because I want to see what you get every level, right, as a fighter. It's been a hot minute since I've read this, so do give me a second. Combat. There we go. No. Yeah, 270. Okay. I just want to see if there's basis for this, that's all. Making attacks. Choose targets for the attacks. Right. Melee attacks target individuals. A melee attack against multiple enemies consists of separate attacks, each with its own attack roll and damage roll. Simply wielding a weapon in each hand doesn't allow you to make 2 attacks in a round. If you hold 2 melee weapons, you can use either one to make a melee attack. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's a little annoying. Okay, sure. I've read the book at 270, page 270, in the melee attack column in your 4E player's handbook. It says that what I just read. So that's unfortunate, as a thing that you can't do. Little annoying. Okay. That's about it at the moment. I also saw that episode of The Librarians. I don't know this. The Librarians don't lie. Oh.
You know what? I think we need to talk about this face to mask. So I'm gonna let Biff explain this next part. What the fuck? The fighter can't hit one person twice with his weapons, so no whirling, no dervish, and certainly no death unless you count me dying. At least the isn't a lie. Yet. You know what though? Maybe I'm being unfair. Let's approach this scientifically.
Okay. Right.
This hat will be the enemy. Ah.
Okay, it's a bit.
Ah. Whoa. It checks out. I guess I owe those demons who created this edition an apology. Alright, so I'm not so much whirling dervish of death, maybe more like a whining dumbass of suck. Let's talk.
Okay. It's because you use at-will powers all the time, there's really no basic attack. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me, I guess. That is a fair, like, and I guess if you just said, if he had just said, the fact that you can't just attack twice with one weapon in each hand, on the same enemy, I guess. Though, isn't that the same in 5e where you only get one attack even if wielding two weapons? No. In 5e you get an attack with your action, with your main hand weapon, and then a bonus attack with your bonus action. So you get two. Or he has basic attacks like all D&D. Well, so not necessarily in the same way. They just have different names for them. That's all. Let me just look again at the 75. It was, I believe. Okay. So. Yeah, these are just the attacks. I just want to look at the general, like, level system, I guess, again. Again, it's been a moment, so do bear with me, because we are making sure to fact check here, just to make sure that things are as they are. I like those goblins there, by the way. Oh yeah, they look sick. Gaining levels, 27. That should give me it, right? Nope. There we go. Page 29. That's your character advancement one. Here we go. Okay. You get a feat. You get 2 at-will attack powers. You gain 1 counter attack power. Gain 1 daily attack power. And that's what you get. That's right. Okay. So, going to, again, the fighter's stuff on page 75, and then going down to 77, we have our at-will exploits, which is Cleave, which allows you to hit an enemy adjacent to you. Yeah, you just hit an enemy. And then, yeah, it hits another enemy adjacent. Okay. You get a second attack with another weapon in another hand as a bonus action, but you don't get bonus damage from your attribute unless you have 2-weapon fighting. Yes. Or he has basic attacks like normal, they are just without any additional benefits. Yeah, no, that's, so this isn't the issue. What the issue is it not possible then to attack with both weapons, one with a cleave and one with a reaping strike? Is that not, because those are 2 at-will powers, right? Although, no, sorry, it's a standard action for each of those. I see. Okay. Yeah, so this is the issue that he's run into, is where he has one action that he can't use both of his weapons. Okay. Because you have to choose either one or the other to use in that instance. Now, while I can understand, again, that it's annoying that you can't just use one weapon and then the other in the same action, what I will say is that this just means that you can choose whether or not to use one weapon or the other, so you can have a different kind of playstyle. It's not necessarily the one that he was hoping for, as what he's looking for is spinning sweep here. This is on page 78. I assume, or something like that where you can do damage. No, that's one creature as well. He's looking for something that he can do multiple damage or damage to multiple things, right? So I guess what I would look for then is a feat to make that possible, because he has a feat when he makes his character. So on page 190 we got a feats. I'm just trying to make sure that again that this is either not possible or is possible but with some other thing that he didn't look at because of feats and such, right? So we have Backstabber, that's not gonna do it. Blade Opportunist, new. By the way, if anybody can find it before me, if you find a feat that lets you, oh, you literally as a human can have Action Surge, where you get +3 to attacks when you spend an action point. Oh no, that's +3 in general. Sorry, I thought that was +3 attacks. That would be crazy, actually. So on page 196, I'm looking through the list right now. 197 now. We are not seeing something that does what he wants. I don't think. Oh, here we go. Okay, so it's not necessarily what he would want. We have 2-weapon fighting, obviously. Gain +1 damage while holding a melee weapon in each hand. Now, it's different in that sense, because he wouldn't be able to do what he's hoping to do. So, yeah, well, so what he's hoping to do is be able to use both weapons every round. Not possible in what I can see from the player's handbook. If there is a way to do it that isn't just using your action point, because using your action point is using that resource, and to be fair, the using of the resource is more valuable when you are that kind of character, and you can get your resources back every fight. Sorry, your action points back every fight, so you could just do that, but it is a little annoying, let's be fair, that it doesn't allow you to do 2-weapon fighting as you would think it would. 287 is at-will basic attacks. Okay. 287. Yes, this is that. Absolutely. But this is not... it is the basic attacks that just lets you do one creature with your melee weapon. Doesn't let you do both melee weapons, which is the whole point of having the 2-weapon fighting, I would argue, right? So, again, let's be fair. It's a little annoying if that's what you want, but counter to that is you have to read how the system works before you really, like, make a character, usually. Or your DM works with you to say, this is what you can do. If you want a 2-weapon fighting character, this is what you do. It won't be like what you're thinking, right? So, the system doesn't allow it as what he wants, but it's not like a big deal, I would say. Okay.
Talk about 4E enemies. They are on crack.
Oh, sorry. There's To be fair, dual wielding has been highly debunked in HEMA circles. IRL, you can't really attack faster with 2 weapons than just one. What you can do with the second weapon is use it defensively. Yeah, that's fine. If you want to be more dual wielding in 4E, play a ranger, not a fighter. Okay. So here's, yeah. See, this is why you need to say these things. Now I need to look at ranger. Sorry, because I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know. Ranger. Okay, 103. Here we go. Fighting style. 2-blade fighting style. Because of your focus on 2-weapon melee attacks, you can wield a one-handed weapon in your offhand as if it were an offhand weapon. In addition, you gain toughness as a bonus feat. Okay. So, Twin Strike. Ah, there it is. You must be wielding 2 melee weapons or a ranged weapon. 1 or 2 creatures. Strength versus AC, melee main weapon and offhand weapon, or dexterity versus AC ranged 2 attacks. Okay. Excuse me. So, now here is the other thing that I would say. It is possible to do what he wants to do then as a ranger. Now, if he wants to have a fighter that can do this, it's a little limiting that he can't, right? That is a fair thing to say, is it not? Because you would think that a fighter would be able to do it. Now, if this is added in an additional book, right, that you can have a fighter that can use 2 weapons, let me know. Because we're in the age of, this is when 5e came out, so 4e is done releasing content. So, you can probably find it, right? Anyway. But everyone wants to be Drizzed. I think Drizzt did have ranger levels, though, as I recall. Yeah, he probably did. Anyway. Okay, let's continue.
Man. In 5e, you start with like 10 or so hit points, depending on a few things like class and con mod. Then get like 5 to 10 more per level, depending on the same stuff. Pretty standard. In 4e, you get like 25 hit points to start. I was very confused by this until we go into the first battle.
We're fighting goblins. Freaking goblins. You know, the bottom rung of Dungeons & Dragons enemies. Well, except of course for me, because they killed me in my first game ever, and did kind of, lead to me selling my soul to Tiamat, but we're not talking about that right now. Okay. These little 4e shit have +6 to hit. For a D8 +2 at level 1. My 17 AC, which I thought was really cool, now is basically the equivalent of 15 in 5e. Did I happen to mention I am the dumbass tank? Yeah, more like a toilet tank. I get hit. A lot. I might as well be wearing paper. At least then my bloodstains can make interesting patterns. You know, give the goblins a little joy as they pummel me to death.
So... yeah, this does sound like hatred born from ignorance of the system. Well, this is the thing. He said, I want to try 4E after my 5E campaign is done. Maybe it'll be fun, right? The DM who's willing to run it has said, okay, and has done, like, nothing to help prepare his players. He hasn't read the books at all? Because I guess he didn't want to or didn't need to, like, what, or I don't know, he thought that he could just go in like it was 5e, because it's not, it's the edition beforehand, right? I'm just, and this is not, I guess this is all speculation, but like when you go in and you haven't read the edition, you won't know how it works, right? The fighter class is a defender, it's meant to take damage and suck it up. Yeah, that's, I mean, sure, that's true, I guess, but even so, is it not also possible that it could be a slight damage dealer too? Right? I know they're put into specific groups, I get that, don't get me wrong. I know that that's how it is in the system itself, like they classify these things. But I feel like even so, I don't know. Like I get again. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Let me put it this way. As somebody who has read the system and knows now about the Ranger, I wouldn't pick fighter if I wanted this, right? I would pick Ranger. Okay? So I guess what I shouldn't be arguing against this. I should be saying you're right, because the system itself, if you read it, does lay these things out, and would, if you read both fighter and ranger, you would know that one is more of a damage dealer who can do this than and one is more of a tank, right? Because the system itself is more the classes in this system are put into these specific roles. Okay? And I understand I understand that to an outsider who's never read it, that it's a little frustrating that you can't do something like that, right? All classes do damage, but every class fills a team role. It's like the A team. No, I get that. Yeah. And what I'm saying is, like, if you didn't read it, if you didn't look at it, if your DM didn't say anything, then I could understand the frustration. We're already at that point, though, right? Why are we at that point? Why haven't we read the book? Why haven't we asked the DM if this is something I could do, right? Presumably you made your character with your DM, since you hadn't played it before, who your DM is probably either a little knowledgeable or is reading it and figuring this out, right? And didn't just let you go into the game with a fighter that can't do what you want him to do. Is that not... That seems weird. It's hard to have fun when it's blind leading the blind. Nothing wrong with the whole group entering a new system fresh, but that means the group needs to take time figuring out the basics. Yes, exactly. That is... I think that's more what we'll go with here, is just... Did you read the player's handbook, sir? Did you read it beforehand, or were you just like, I'm going to be a fighter, let's do this? I want to do dual-wielding fighter, let's do this. Right? And, like, at that point, hey, guess what? In 4E, you could probably homebrew it and go, maybe I can just have a fighter that has Twin Strike. Or I could just play a ranger who's a fighter, quote unquote, right? I don't know. I think the fighter class is badly named. The name does bring a lot of assumptions with it, and in 4E, this fighter class doesn't match the generalist warrior assumption. Yeah, if they had just called it defender, it would have no problems. I think that's, like, just in general, defender. Or tank, or something, right? You know, something that actually invokes that. It really just looks like they rushed everything for the players before they had a decent understanding of things. Let's rename the 4E fighter to the target. Good. Yeah. So, anyway, okay. So, this is where we're at. What he wanted to do was in a different class. He didn't know that. Okay. That sucks. Vanguard. Vanguard's a good one. I like that. So he didn't know that. Uh-oh. That's unfortunate. This was on session 1 that he didn't know that. That sucks for him. But that's not the system's fault. Let's read the system and figure out what we want from, like, the characters themselves and fit it so that it works in the system. My first thing, right? Second thing, you want things from two different classes? Let's homebrew it, or we can do good old-fashioned multi-classing. Let's try that out. You know, that would also work. It's not necessarily because the system is bad, it's just because you want something that doesn't really fit inside of this, right? Yeah, fighter in other editions is basically like a fighter aircraft, more of an interceptor. Yeah, true. Now we're at the point of health. Health in this is higher. For goblins specifically. Okay. So everything in this system seems to be a lot higher. Now I remember it being told that the monster health was a little bit of a problem in 4E. We can chalk that up to a known issue. So that's totally fair to have an issue with that, right? We'll go with that so far. It's entirely reasonable to be frustrated with the fact that some of the health stuff is a little bit too much at times. Okay. Early levels are kind of rough. There you go.
Turns out, all 4E enemies are like that. At least all the ones I ever ran into. Hell, at second level, we got attacked by something with a +10 to hit. Well, you might be thinking...
Yeah, Monster Manual 1 points are totally borked. There you go. Okay, so this is totally fair then as a criticism. The monster health for the standard Monster Manual stuff was... It could have been better. Alright. Again, we'll give it to him.
Hey, Biv! You leveled up, so, you know, probably better able to take it. You sweet, dumb summer child.
Okay.
It is true, my AC did go up to a whopping 18, and my hit points went up by a total of 6. I went from like 25 to 31, or one goblin hit.
Now, to be fair, healing is much better in 4E, but I still go down a lot.
Why is Letterkenny being used? What the fuck? Why do you have a thing of Letterkenny? What's going on? Sorry.
I even get a stupid amulet of less suckitude to bump up my AC to 19, still getting rocked. Let's face it, as far as defenders go, I'm basically that dumbass gate guard at Troy who looked out and said, "Ooh, pretty horse, let's bring it in."
Well, so you also literally made your character so that they would be not a defender. So you're complaining that your character couldn't take hits when you said that you wanted it to be a damage dealing two weapon fighter. I guess he was using that picture for that guy's expression. Oh, maybe, I guess. Probably better ones than that he could have used that wouldn't make me go, why, what? But, so, that doesn't seem to be... we're already... Okay. So the immediate problem so far is just your character was made in a way that wasn't going to work for what you wanted. If you wanted the character that did a lot of damage and was taking those hits, I guess, or not taking those hits, then you needed to make your character a little bit differently in a different class and such, right? Is that not fair? And your DM should have helped you and told you what you should expect from the character that you were going to play before you played the game, perhaps in a session 0. I don't know. It would also help if we knew what the other players were playing. No, I don't think it matters what the other players were playing right now. At the moment, if it's just a goblin versus a fighter, right? And the fighter is made to have 2 weapons in both of their hands, right? And the fighter themselves doesn't understand how the fighter works. This is already the issue. We don't even have to involve anybody else. I want to know why he's using the Trojan horse. That's a good question. I don't know.
What's a defender, you might be asking? Well, I am not talking about the kick-ass 80s video game. You see, kiddies,
okay.
In 4E, you have roles, and you pretty much need every single role in the party.
Sorry to interrupt here, but Biff is an idiot who didn't bother to tell you what roles are. Roles are people that perform a certain function in the game.
Right.
You know, if you play MMORPGs, it's like a nuker or a tank or a damage dealer. In 4E, they had the controller, the healer, the damage dealer, I don't know what they called it, the defender.
I wanted to play a badass ranger, Harrow. And yes, I only wanted to name that so I could call him Harrow the Arrow. Well, no one in the party wanted to be a defender, so I volunteered to change that role. After all, who wouldn't want to be a whirling dervish of death?
That's not what the defender is, then. What? Huh? Okay, so you put yourself in this role that other people didn't want to play, to be nice. That's cool. You looked at the word defender and then said, hey, I want to be a swirling whirlish of death damage dealer. Huh? No difference than how you need a fighter, mage, thief, and wizard in older editions of D&D. In older editions, yeah, absolutely. This is the thing, though. It also depends on your table, right? What your adventure is, because you don't necessarily need them. As we're taking modern kind of looks at how these games are, right? We can go like, hey, you can make it so however you run the game, it can work for whatever party. You just have to put in the work, right? But if we're doing a by-the-book standard thing, then yeah, you want probably a fighter, mage, thief, and wizard. Yeah? Like, sounds like he wanted to be a barbarian. Yeah, I mean, something that wasn't what he literally chose to be. So I'm already like, where are we? I thought you knew what you wanted, but then you said I'd rather be something else, I guess, so that we can play. And you didn't change your character at all? to make it so that that was the case.
God, I was so stupid.
Apparently.
Harrow, the whining dumbass of Suck, doesn't have quite the same ring to it now, does it? And combat. I love combat. One of my favorite things about D&D. But hand to God, I'd rather be locked in a room with Kirk Cameron's Christmas Caroling group than face 4E combat. You want to experience the steaming pile of pig entrails that is 4E combat? Do jack shit for 20 minutes, then move around for 20 seconds. Repeat. You're playing 4E, baby.
You're playing most high-level combat or combat in general in any D&D game. Like, it just... The pacing depends on the table, really. And considering you were all new, I feel like you were all kind of learning how the combat system worked, and if you continued to play it, you continued to experience the combat system, you might have figured out what you would do in most situations, and like what your actions were and all that kind of stuff. Like, you would understand how the game works the more experience you had with it, considering you were brand new.
On the plus side, I can catch up on my reading. In 2 battles, I got halfway through War and Peace waiting for my turn.
Why didn't you start reading about how your character worked and how the game works itself so that you can further familiarize yourself with how the system works and how combat would work, and make it so that you could smooth out combat a little bit better, help your DM out, help your entire table out, and like actually, I don't know, make the game work a little bit better for everyone. If this is your complaint, why didn't you start being a part of the solution? If you had that much time. Like, I know it's a hyperbole, but even so, look at the book. Read. Figure out what we're doing here. If you don't have the book, I can tell you that there are plenty of very, very useful sources that are online. Okay. Different from any other D&D game. How, exactly? You're playing 4E blindfolded while getting smacked with a bat like a piñata. Yeah, he got 20 minutes to think about what he wanted to do. He obviously wasn't playing with Cody. That's true, right? I don't... What's the issue here? Why haven't we thought about working towards a solution?
Meanwhile, the only thing I'm defending is that patch of ground I keep landing on when I go down. Even my cool power, my daily, my Tempest Dance doesn't work without a specific enemy configuration.
Is that true? That would be a thing that you would have to figure out, I guess. Daily power. Tempest. Oh, right. I'm sorry. I'm in. I'm in the Ranger one. I forgot that he's not a Ranger. 75, and then down into. What is it? Wait, Tempest. What? Say that again. I missed what you said.
Meanwhile, the only thing I'm defending is that patch of ground I keep landing on when I go down. Even my cool power, my daily, my Tempest Dance.
Tempest Dance. Tempest Dance. Tempest Dance. I see Brute Strike. I see Comeback Strike. I see Villain's Menace as fighter attacks for daily exploits. Level 1. Let's go to level 5. Is Tempest move a Pokemon move? Yes, Tempest is a Pokemon move. Tempest Dance. Guys, I'm looking through fighter powers and I don't see a Tempest Dance. Maybe it's a non-class power? Is that a thing? Repus Stance? He's using options from the Martial Power Book. Ah, thank you. Okay. So they're using additional content. Oh, that's interesting. Even though they don't know how the game works? Okay. Dance 4E. Let's see what it says. First level fighter daily attack power. It attacks up to 3 different targets, allowing a shift of 1 square between attacks. Each attack deals damage on hit and deals extra dexterity-based damage if the user has combat advantage. Oh, okay. Looks like chat doesn't like links. I found it online though. Yeah, I just found it. Yeah, I don't know if links can be done in YouTube chat or if I can change that somehow. I think oh no. You know what I did? Wait. Yeah, I don't know. I think links are disabled because there's a lot of bot spam that was happening before and I haven't changed it since. Yeah, adding splat books for newer players I wouldn't recommend depending on the system. Yeah, when we already are at the point where we don't seem to understand how 4E works from the beginning, I'm hesitant to start adding more stuff. Unless the DM knows how it works and will explain it to you. Or you can look it up and you can read it and you understand it. So what this does is allows you, and I will tell you exactly what Tempest Stance does. You can look this up. It's a 4E power. It makes it so that you can attack, then move 1 square, then attack, then move 1 square, then attack, right? Now, you can shift it to a second target and then do it again to do it as a third target. But the wording on this already makes me think you can do all 3 on 1 target. Though I don't think that that's the case. But regardless, the specific thing that you would need is for everything to be within a square of each other or so. A square or 2. Okay? That's the specific formation that he's talking about. So a grouped up kind of thing. Potentially that is something that you're not going to be able to do every now and again. Okay. That's just kind of how it works sometimes, where you can't necessarily always always do this one daily power. But that's why I assume this is a daily power where when you can do it, you just go and you do it, right? It's a once a day power. It's pretty powerful in that case. It might even allow you to do one attack on one character 3 times. Because it is a daily power. It's 1 time per day. Until you get more abilities to use it. Because it does say can. And that's how I would interpret this, right? The user can shift up to 1 square and repeat this attack against a second target. Then the user can again shift up to 1 square and repeat this attack against the third target. Now, I don't know. Perhaps, again, I might be misinterpreting that. But at the moment, that's kind of how I read it. So, okay. Yes. Yes, what? Am I misinterpreting it? Let me know.
Doesn't work without a specific enemy configuration. Yo, Goblin guys.
Nope, it does specify it must be different targets, but I'd allow him to focus on a single target for cool factor. Okay. So this is an ability he had to pick, and he's complaining about it. Yeah, that's also true. He chose this ability. He didn't read it, he didn't understand it. I guess. No, I'm not misunderstanding it. Okay. But this is the thing. When you use words like can, when you use very malleable terms like that, then I would assume that you would be able to do it. But again, if that is the case or not the case, I would allow him to do it because that seems cool. It's a daily power. You do it once per day. If you want to waste it, quote unquote, on a single enemy, if that's just a goblin, right? Then you can do that all you want. I feel like that's totally reasonable. Anyway, let's see what else we have to say about this, I guess. Because this specific formation is just a group of people that are around each other within a square or 2. Okay.
Do me a solid. You stand over there. You stand here. And you, right here. Now don't move.
This whirling dumbass of suck just isn't working for me, so I decided to change to a warden. It's here I learn more about the defender's main thing. Their piece de resistance. Marking. You see, in 4E, defenders mark enemies. For the warden, it's a free action. Unless you charge first, because for some reason, you don't get a free action if you, I don't know.
4E is house ruled a lot. Well, I mean, that's fine. So is 5E. So is 3.5. So, like, everything is house ruled a lot, you know? I don't think it would be a waste since it's still 3 hits. No, that's what I'm saying. It's quote-unquote a waste, right? It's not a waste. Off to work, though. Okay. Have a good day. What the fuck is that picture? I don't fucking know. I'm very confused as to visuals. So he's changed to a warden. Now we're working with a warden. Okay. Let me make sure that I'm on warden. That way I can follow along. Because he's talking about wardens. Ah, that's not in the player's handbook. That's, is he talking about warlord? Hold on, did I mishear him? Go back. Oh god. Too far. Player's Handbook 2 class. Okay, so... Oh my god. I thought we were in first time playing 4E. We're using all of these other things? I mean, I get it. It's not like you can't. I'm just saying, maybe think about it for a sec. Warden. What do you got? Because I haven't read Warden, because I read the Player's Handbook 1. Okay, so what did you say the piece de resistance is?
Suck just isn't working for me, so I decided to change to a warden. It's here I learn more about the defender's main thing. Their piece de resistance. Marking. You see, in 4E, defenders mark enemies.
Oh, marking. Yeah, I thought that was a thing. Yeah. As a defender, you can mark things to make it so that it's easier for other people to do things, right? I think I remember reading this. Defenders. So after, and let's keep this in mind, after he's changed character, like class, he's now learning about how the defender works, apparently. So we again, the steps here seem to be very, very off on how we're going, right? I thought we learned about things before we did them, right? I thought we tried to figure them out beforehand, but this is not the case, I assume. I do not know. Okay. 52. Where would I find a marking? Because I don't know. Oh, you know what? I'll look in the index. That will help me. Mark. Making checks. Martial powers, of course. No. Is it a warden-specific thing? Thought I remember reading this at some point, but I might be wrong. I could have sworn I remember reading marking. Huh. Well, I hope he'll explain it to me. Let me just look up marking 4E. And we'll see how this goes. Marked. Every defender class describes its own kind of mark ability. Ah! Okay. Here we go. Mark. Marked is a condition. You take a -2 penalty to attack rolls for any attack that doesn't target the creature that marked you. You can be subjected only to one mark at a time. Newer marks supersede older ones. A mark ends when the creator dies or it's unconscious. Defenders like fighters, paladins, wardens, etc. usually have class-specific marks. Okay. And class-specific ways of applying said mark and punishing violations of said marks. Marking opponents is one of the defender's core features. There you go. I'm on a 4E wiki. I didn't think I would ever be here. Okay, so then Warden itself has its own marks. Let's see what he talks about. That will give me more clues.
For the Warden, it's a free action. Unless you charge first, because for some reason, you don't get a free action if you, I don't know, I don't understand. I'm just along for the ride at this point.
Oh, okay, I don't know, I don't understand, I'm just along for the ride. Okay, cool. Cool. Awesome. Seems good to me. Seems like we should do this. What kind of warden were you? That's the question. Because there's Earth Strength, Life Spirit, Stormheart, and Wild Blood. Yosh. Hey, Pizza Funk, how's it going? It's a free action, but 4E Player's Handbook PHP 2. That'll get me there. I'm sorry. I need to know. This is important. We need to find out what's going on. Oh. No, I don't. No, I need to look at it. Thank you. I'm just along for the ride. Final Fantasy 12. Hell yeah, that's right. Okay, here we go. Where is Warden? Warden is page 152. 152. Alright. 152. I'm looking at my totally legitimately copied 4E handbook. We need a 4E guide to lead us into this forbidden dance. That's right. Why is there Sharpie over that guy's face? Dude, I don't know. Don't pay attention to the visuals, I guess. Even though it's a video, I don't understand what's happening. What is this supposed to be telling me? It tells me that he has a picture of a guy with Sharpie all over his face. Okay. So... okay, here we go. Is it the Warden's Grasp? Is that what we're talking about here? Okay. Warden's Grasp. No. Wait. Is it? I don't actually know. Yeah, it's an at-will power, right? Class features. Yeah, that's what this would be. An enemy marked by you makes an attack that does not include you as a target is the trigger. And then you can do damage against them because of that. Which is a melee one. Or you can do a close burst of 5, which is Warden's Grasp, that an enemy marked by you that is within 5 squares of you makes an attack that does not include you as a target. And then you can do slide the target 1 square, slow them, and they cannot move until or shift until the end of the turn. Because shifting is different than simply moving. Yeah. Okay. So you mark them, and then it makes it so that you can do shit to them when they start going after guys that aren't you. Seems simple enough to me. I'm just trying to figure out where it says mark. Because if it's just, I mark that guy, if you just point at the guy and go, I mark him, then that's pretty cool. Though I don't know about that charging and then doing a free action thing. Let's look at combat. I know this is going to be a lot of looking at a lot of things that you can't see, but I'm giving you page numbers as I'm looking. I promise. They're all correct. I wouldn't lie to you about a page number. That would be the most, like, pretty much how Mark works. There you go. Okay. But yeah, if I ever didn't give you the right page number, then I would completely, I would be the worst. Here we go. Combat 264 in your player's handbook. Oh, the Sharpies are because of Mark. Oh, I hate it. The more I look at Sharpie Boy, the more I'm fearing I'm gonna have a nightmare tonight. Oh, don't worry, I'm also looking at him. He's in 2 monitors for me, okay? Count yourself lucky. Here we go. So you can do a standard action, 2 minor actions. Yep. You can do a standard action, a move action, and a minor action. Why wouldn't you be able to do a free action on the same turn? That doesn't track. What? Free actions take almost no time or effort. You can take as many free actions as you want during your or another combatant's turn. The DM can restrict the number of free actions in a turn. Examples, speaking a few sentences, dropping a held item, letting go of a grabbed enemy. There's nothing here that says you can't. Why are you lying to me? That's not how this works. Did you not read your player's handbook? Page 267, the main action types? And then 268, I guess, let me look for charge. That might. Before I start being a dick. Where's charge? It'd be later on, wouldn't it? Would it? Actions in combat? Bull rush. Charge. Here we go. You throw yourself into the fight, dashing forward and launching an attack. This is on page 287 of your player's handbook for 4E. Move and attack. This is a standard action. You move and attack. You move your speed as part of the charge and make a melee basic attack or a bull rush at the end of your move. +1 bonus to the attack roll. You get a +1 bonus to the attack roll of your basic attack or bull rush. Movement requirements, excuse me. You must move at least 2 squares from your starting position, and you must move directly to the nearest square from which your enemy, or from which you can attack the enemy. You can't charge if the nearest square is occupied. Moving over difficult terrain costs extra squares of movement as normal. Provoke an opportunity attack. If you leave a square adjacent to an enemy, that enemy can make the opportunity attack against you. No further actions. After you resolve a charge attack, you can't take any further actions this turn unless you spend an action point to take an extra action. Okay, wait. Wardens marks every adjacent enemy as a free action. That can be a lot of enemies. So this is the thing. Either he read this and he didn't understand how that works, or he read this and decided not to use his mark anyway. Now, let's be fair here. A free action is a free action. I would say that you would be able to do it after that. I don't see why you couldn't. I know it says you can't take any further actions. That is very specific. So, technically, as raw, I would say, yeah, I guess so. But let me... This just calls into question Mark. Does Mark say you can't do it from a distance away? Because that is how you would... Because if it doesn't say that you can't, then we're already at the point of, like, why didn't you do it before you charged, then? And if you just say, well, I didn't know that I could do that, then it's like, why didn't you read how Mark works? And if you say, oh, come on, no one reads the player's handbook, reading is for nerds. I see that. Then it's like, well, why? I don't... I just want a page number. I just want a page number on what Mark says. Most marking effects have very short durations, or else they require the marking creature to remain a threat to a marked target. What? Mark says, hello, have you seen Chad? Oh, hi, Mark. Why is it so hard for me to find things? This is just my unfamiliarity with how this book is structured, more so, I think. I guess it would be okay. Well, somebody give me a page number, please, if you could, just so I can read it. And that's all I need. Check the index. I did. I did! I'm at the index! The index that is on page 317 of your player's handbook. Marching order. Martial power source. Master knowledge. I don't see Mark. I always go to the index, friend. I promise you. I promise. Oh, maybe it's a Marshall? No, that wouldn't make sense. Unless it's not called Mark or something. But that's what it's called in the thing, so I don't know. I'm sorry. It's just been me floundering about for a while. I apologize. All right, let's continue.
Anyway, you know what a mark does? This amazing feature that is the linchpin of Defenderdom. It gives enemies a -2 to attack anyone besides you. Seriously? What is a -2 when enemies pull out their +9s and throw them on the table? I don't know if any of those psychotic Hellspawn bitches who came up with this whole edition thought of this, but you know what? Squishy party members might have 2 AC less than your defender.
Yeah. Okay, I hope you talk about it in a second here, but you realize that the whole marking thing is for you to use your special shit, right? I literally just read what the Warden does for their special shit that you have. There's 2 powers that you just get. They're on page 154 of your player's handbook 2. Warden's Fury and Warden's Grasp. Both of those things. They're just class features that are at will. You get those. They're right here. And they say when you mark them that this is what you can do after you've marked them. You do the things. This is an immediate interrupt, the Warden's Fury. That you can just immediately go, ha! The Warden's Grasp allows you to push him away from your friend. You slide the target 1 square. That can be 1 square in any direction. It doesn't say, like, in a specific direction. You just do that. It's fine. Wardens mark targets adjacent enemies. Fighters mark targets as they attack them. Paladins use Divine Challenge power to mark targets out to 25 feet away. Yeah, I just need to see where that is. Because it doesn't say, like, at will mark, right? It just says that after they've been marked. Unless I can't read. It might be that I can't read. Font of Life? Nope. Guardian Might? Nope. Ah, here we go. Nature's Wrath. Okay, page 153. I can't read. Once during each of your turns, you can mark each adjacent enemy as a free action. This mark lasts until the end of your next turn. Okay. In addition, you gain Warden's Fury and Warden's Grasp powers. You can use these powers against enemies to prevent them from harming those you protect. There you go. Page 153. It just took me forever to find it. I'm so sorry. Okay, so it tells you what you can do as a free action. That they're adjacent to you. So, what you need to know, my friend, is that you need to be near. Each class describes how to mark differently. Yes, I get that. You need to read how it works, and then you need to utilize it the way that it works. That's called understanding your powers, friend. Okay, let's continue. I'm sorry that took so long. We have been on this point for too long.
Which kind of makes the entire thing as useful as underwear.
Shut up.
I was told Defender was a stalwart companion, standing bravely between his friends and the enemies, protecting them with his life. What I got was...
Aww, am I marked by the Widow Fighter? That's just so precious.
You're not a fighter, you're a warden.
Well, I'm just gonna shift over here and attack your buddy, but keep on trying. I'm sure you'll get it someday.
But did you not read that the free action can be done anytime, even on enemy turns? And then your Warden's Grasp and your Warden's Fury are triggered by your targets quite literally doing things nearby. And that's not, or 5 squares away. that is not towards you. That's what you can do. It's there in your class features. In your PHP 2 that you are obviously using. The lesson of the video is read the PHP. Yeah! Read your fucking class. At the very least, we've talked about this. Understand how your class works. Fighters marked by combat challenge, page 76. Thank you. Let's read what that does. I want to see what fighters do. 76. Combat challenge. In combat, it's dangerous to ignore a fighter. Every time you attack an enemy, whether the attack hits or misses, you can choose to mark that target. The mark lasts until the end of your next turn. While a target is marked, it takes a -2 penalty to attack rolls for any attack it does. That doesn't include you as a target. Wait, he's talking about this one. This is for the fighter. That's not for the warden. The warden does a different fucking mark. You have to be adjacent to them. It doesn't do the things naturally. It doesn't let you just take a -2 from them. But what you get is the interrupt, and you get the ability to push them away. Within 5 squares of you that makes an attack that does not include using target. You can just use that. If you were using your warden, you can literally just go, hey, that guy is trying to hurt me. Or sorry, hurt my little squishy man behind me. Guess what? Within 5 inches of me, quote unquote, 5 squares of me, I can literally just take him and put him over there. This video is turning me into a 4E sympathizer. It should, because it gets a bad rap, because people just don't read. Dave Meltzer says, reading is your friend. Exactly. So anyway, the combat challenge from them makes you give that -2 penalty to attack rolls for an attack that doesn't include you as a target. Only 1 mark at a time. New mark supersedes a mark that's already placed. When a marked enemy is, in addition, whenever a marked enemy that is adjacent to you shifts or makes an attack that does not include you, you can make a melee basic attack against that enemy as an immediate interrupt. So you immediately are able to, as a fighter, interrupt them when they're trying to shift away from you. It's not like it's nothing. What? Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. You're talking about the wrong thing. Why are you talking about this? You're a warden now.
Dumbass. Look, I just spent all day bitching about all the things 4E sucks at. Shitty criticals, shifting, not
We haven't even talked about criticals. We haven't talked about shifting.
splitting movement, flat saving throws.
What was that third one? Sorry?
Look, I just spent all day bitching about all the things 4E sucks at. Shitty criticals, shifting, not splitting movement.
Not splitting movement? Okay. Well, I'm sorry, that's a thing that 5E does. That's new to 5E. You came from 5E now back to 4E. You didn't read how... I have to assume you didn't read how 5E plays. What are we doing complaining about how it plays when we haven't even taken the time, apparently, to understand how it plays? What are we doing? It's a different game. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's not the worst because you don't like it. I hope to be interviewed for the dark side of TTRPGs. Maybe. Welcome to the real dark side of gaming. Ah, I see. Woof. Yeah, I just...
Flat saving throws, but no one wants that.
Oh, flat saving throws are just a bad thing? Is that... Why are we just saying that these things are bad? What's happening? What are we doing? Where are we? We're just saying that these things are bad. You haven't said anything about them. You haven't explained at all what shifting is. You haven't oh my god. Why are these...
That. So I'm going to sum it up. If 5e is like playing a PlayStation 5 or Xbox, whatever.
Oh, you would. You would use that as your fucking... Oh my god. No, don't. Don't. Yes, shifting is not... shifting itself is a 5-foot step from 3.5. It is your... You can just move without provoking attack of opportunity. That is what shifting is. What I'm saying is this man has... I'm sorry, this wolf has not fucking said what shifting is this entire fucking video. And yet he's talking about it as if he has. I don't think... Like this thing, therefore it's bad. This literally describes the pro wrestling fandom. No one I can relate so easily to it. It's just... An Xbox reference? Man Wolf, yeah. So what I just mean is like he's already going like, oh, this is like a PS5 or an Xbox One. Wonder what he plays. Yeah, Xbox whatever, true.
4E is a calculator, and not one of those cool graphing calculators either. It's more like I wrote boobs.
How can you say that? He plays the N gauge. How can you even say that though? Like, at least what I will say, at least he hasn't said anything about the roleplay. If he had even gone for like this is bad for roleplay or anything, I would have been like, what are we doing? Where are we? But like, I'm already like that. But it's just, I don't.
Someone please explain to me why in the holy name of hell there are 3 players' handbooks, numerous supplements, and about...
What's your entire point? I'm sorry.
...1 million Dragon articles. Was it out for like 20 years?
Can someone tell me why there's so much content that has been made for 4th edition? I don't understand. Why are there 3 players' handbooks? Why are there 4 supplements that I don't know about? Why are there all of these things? I don't get it. The fuck are we doing? Was it out for 20 years? What? You have not even looked at 3.5, have you, friend? Like, or 3.0, that's right. All the fucking third-party supplements, too? Like, pretty sure you don't need 3 players' handbooks to play this game. No, it's true, you don't. You just need 1. That's it. The first one.
Alright, I know 5e came out in 2014, so 4e must have been out in what, like 1999, 2000 maybe?
Stop.
Let's take a look.
Stop. This isn't an argument.
2008?
So, sorry, is it impossible that since 2008 to 2014 that 4e could have had as much content as it did? The HP 3 does have rules for hybrid character rules, so you can play a fighter ranger where you get to be a fighter with ranger twin strikes. Dude! There you go! Fucking hell! You've immediately solved this man's problems! All of this man's problems! What the fuck? That's crazy. That's crazy that he's even playing as a character that would be in the third player's handbook, and he doesn't even know about these things because they didn't read them. They didn't read anything, apparently. Again, I'm assuming. That's all I can assume, though, from all of this. To this guy, D&D was in the toilet bowl of irrelevancy before Critical Role. I mean, 5th edition was released. Yeah, I don't... This man came from 5e immediately, so, like, I don't know. 4e had tons of marketing and money behind it. Yeah, oh, absolutely, it did. I'm just saying, like... It's crazy to me that this man doesn't seem to... I'm sorry, this wolf doesn't seem to, doesn't seem to understand that the game was out for a long time. And a lot of people played it, and they put out content for the people that played it, and it was fine. The fact that it has a lot... What is his point? Okay, let's see what his point is about it has a lot of content.
6 fucking years? Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition. The search for more money.
Oh, stop. Every single fucking edition is like this. Fucking stop. At this point right now, 5e has what? How many books are in 5e? And how many books are in 4e? Let's find this out right now. 5e releases. Book releases. 53 right now. Oh, wait. Is that 53 right now? I'm seeing on Dice Cove. It's the first thing that came up. Dice Cove has 53 books. Okay. 4 books released. Sure. 4th edition. Let's see. 1, 2. Oh, wait. There's Wizards Presents. Oh, these are preview releases. Let's not use those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's quite a bit of supplements. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's something that it has to say. There's something that has to just tell me. I don't... maybe this one. Licensed products? Edition Wars? I just want a comprehensive number. Number of D&D for ebook releases. That'll work. No, that's the fucking same thing that I just opened 2 seconds ago. There we go. Comprehensive list of Wizards of the Coast D&D 4e products. That's what I want. Oh, here. Oh my god. We're just finding this out because this is just a ridiculous fucking argument. I'm sorry. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, there's too much shit. Right? And not like shit in the derogative term, but just like there's so much. Why would it? I'll count them. I'll fucking count them. Okay, so this was 9, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I'm not counting the Dungeon Master's kit, Heroes of Fallen Lands, all that stuff right yet. Okay. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. So 38, so it's 30 supplements, 8 core rulebooks. 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. 49 including the campaign settings. And that's it. If we include the starter set and the fantasy role-playing game starter set, that gets us to 51. If we include the preview releases, that gets us to 53. If we include the character record sheets, Dungeon Master screen, and Deluxe Dungeon Master screen, which I wouldn't, and I wouldn't include some of the other stuff too, that would get us to 56 total products. That's 56 total products for 4E that are all mainline. I'm sorry, 56 total products that are 4E related from 2008 to 2014. That's 6 years. 2014 to 2022, we have at least 53, though I think that this isn't including some things. Let's see. No, this is including even the upcoming books. So it's been 8 years, and we've gotten almost the same amount of content. It's been 8 years and we've gotten almost the same amount of content. That's 2 more years. The essential books don't count except the rules compendium. Okay. Well, so again, like what I'm saying, like overall, with the core rulebooks and the supplements and the adventures, we were at what, 49 in 6 years. We're at 53 in 8 years. Good for them. Like what? This doesn't. They put out content. What the fuck's the problem? You know? I missed so many things. I'm sorry. I was very upset. Man Wolf, bro, I'm trying to help you before you get canceled by the fairies. Oh, don't worry about it. That's fine. In 4E, every PHB was meant to introduce a new power source to the game. So the 2 and 3 books added new classes and magic items for the different power sources. 4th, number of books, too many. 5e number of books, too many. Yeah. Originally, there was going to be 8 total power sources for 4E, but that didn't happen. There you go. There's a game posting I see from a guy on Foundry Discord who always says less rules equals more fun and knocks games for being too video gamey. I'm sure he may have been in this guy's group. Oh, I fucking hate that. There are about 50 to 53 4E books released, but they were released in a much shorter period of time. Wizards of the Coast cranked them out. Yeah, seems that way. The essential books doesn't count except for the rules compendium. Does that count Dragon Magazine stuff? Yeah, on that list it does. It counts Dragon Magazine stuff as supplements. Yeah, I don't like the essential stuff. Okay. Now compare all that to D&D 3.0 and 3.5 books. Oh, dude, if this guy knew about 3.0 and 3.5, he would have a heart attack, okay? Like, heaven forbid. I'm just, like, what's the reason here? Oh, they want more money. Yes, they're a fucking business. What does it matter? If the content is still exactly the same or good or better or worse, that's what matters. It's insane. I want to see this guy play AD&D. Yeah, right? This is, like, that's not an argument. That's not anything. That's just stating that they are a company. It's stupid. That'd be a video to react to, yeah.
But at least they have this character building thing. Let's take a look.
One good thing about 4E is the character builder. I mean, besides the fact you don't have to play it anymore.
Shut up. Okay, so now we're on a good thing. Don't have to play it anymore. You don't have to play anything. You don't have to do anything. Stop. Ah.
Let's take a look. It is actually pretty cool. It lets you build your characters and gives you all the info you need. So let's say I want to be a vampire. That is a class. And another cool thing, there's a lot of classes in 4E. So it tells me everything I need to know about being a vampire, and even how to be a heroic vampire. Although I don't think it tells me how to be a cowardly vampire, which is the kind of vampire I want to play. Anyway, moving on. There's lots of races too. That's pretty cool. Look at all these things. I like it. Wait, what was that sound? Oh no, that was the other shoe dropping. Because lots of choices, keep on keeping on. Let's check out the next one. Backgrounds. And backgrounds, and backgrounds, and more backgrounds.
No, now you're complaining about there being too much here for you. Are you fucking kidding me? Don't. I don't have to listen to this guy, but I'm here doing it to mostly support Alejo in this nightmare. I appreciate that, thank you.
Oh, you think that's a lot of backgrounds? Let's keep going. What if I want Forgotten Realms background? Oh, I can choose from one of these. How about Scales of War Adventure Paths? Oh, okay, a bunch more backgrounds.
They're all fucking optional. You can see the optional right there. Optional. These are for specific, like, settings. They're probably all of these from the settings books. What do you fucking mean? This guy needs to be dropped into the Pathfinder 1E Abyss. I know, right? Like, again, 3.0, 3.5, Pathfinder 1E. This guy would implode at the amount of options there are. Are you absolutely fucking kidding me?
General. kind of get where I'm coming from. Now, technically, you don't have to. Jeez, man, that's a lot of generals. You don't have to choose one, Eberron. But they each give you a little bonus, so you'd be kind of silly not to.
Yes, all backgrounds give you a little bonus. All backgrounds are part of character creation. That is the point of them. So you would be silly to not choose a background. Absolutely true. That doesn't mean that you... Okay, alright. You get my point. The fact that we have a assortment of choice. A spoiling of choice. Whatever the fuck you want to call it. So much choices that there is just... like, legitimately, you could be basically anything... background-wise, is not a bad thing. Why, like, this, you are looking at a program that compiles everything. If you don't want to do that, just don't. With his love of 4E, I can't wait till someone introduces him to Pathfinder 2E, yeah. I will say that 4E did have a huge overabundance of feats, and many of them were pointless. You can, that's just going to be par for the course with feats. There's so many feats in 3.5 as well. I'm sure that a lot of them aren't used ever. I would like to share my drugs with Chad to endure this nonsense. Nah, man, I'm high on life, dude. I'm upset. I'm ready. It's making my pain go away and replacing it with more pain.
Now let's keep moving on, and let's look at feats. So I built a character. I didn't really do anything. I just kind of randomly picked stuff. And look at all the feats. Keep in mind, these are only the feats I can use on this character.
Yup.
I mean, I love feats. You love feats. We all love feats. But apparently we don't love them as much as the gremlins who created 4E.
Stop. Just stop. You don't even know that 3.0 exists, apparently. Like, you can probably do some research. You can probably do some reading so that you understand what these feats are and what they do and which ones would be good for your character and which ones you could just ignore, okay? Like, I get there's a lot, but take the fucking time, alright? Just take the time to read, to understand, okay? Just take the time. Oh, Indigo will take your drugs. There you go. You know, guys, I just don't like food. I mean, come on. There's just too many options for food. It's just way too many options. This guy. Yeah, I know. I have more feats than less. I have more feats than less, especially in a feat-based system. Yeah, yeah, I know. One that actually has it so that feats are a thing. Why can't you offer me just fish or chicken? What are all these other options? Exactly.
Go ahead and read through all these suckers, then choose the one that fits your character best. You might be thinking about newbie. You don't have to be a min-maxing superstar to play 4E. And maybe you're right. But from my experience, you absolutely do have to be a min-maxing superstar to play 4E.
Okay. Nah, no, you don't. You can... I could literally just say, no, you don't. I could play a game of it where I don't have to do that, okay? Remember the fact that you can adjust difficulty as a DM, okay? If we are legitimately just gonna go by raw, then sure, I guess it's better to be more prepared than it is to be underprepared. But let me give you this as a little bit of an insight, friend. I don't think anyone plays any game just raw, okay? I'm pretty sure, I'll go out on a limb here to say that most people play most D&D games with something changed, okay? Just something. It could be any small thing, okay? Not to say that this is, what I will say, the amount of HP and stuff for the monsters is an actual problem that everybody understands and does, right? Like, that's a problem with the monster manuals, Monster Manual 1's monsters, as I've been told, okay? That is an issue. We can fix that issue with a little bit of homebrew, okay? Doesn't mean that we have to min-max all our goddamn characters, alright? It's not what that means. Thank you. This guy probably just mixes anchovies, pineapple, jalapeno peppers, and pepperoni on pizza. He doesn't do that. He either orders sausage or pepperoni pizza, or only goes to just cheese because toppings are too much of a hassle. 4E isn't about min-maxing, it's about system mastery, which requires players to actually read, learn, and apply what is learned in the books. See, I would say that any fucking D&D game requires you to read the fucking book and learn how it works and play it and experience it and like learn that way too. Like you're not like even in 5e, the CR system is fucked. The CR system is fucked in 3.5. The CR system is probably fucked in 4e. The CR system has been fucked since it's been created, okay? Like probably. I won't say definitively, but I know for a fact in some of the games that I've played, I've used things of an appropriate quote-unquote CR, and they've been fucked. Right? They're either fucked over by the entire party, or they fuck the entire party. That's an issue that we all change, right? 4E's CR system is better than the others. That I would need empirical data for. I would need to actually do it then. Anyway, regardless of that fact, this is insane that we're now bashing the fact, like, you were going on a good thing, which is this program. I don't even know if it's official. It might be. If it is official, neat. If it's not official, okay. You're going off that there's a cool character creator thing. Not even has to do with the system, really. It's just there for you to facilitate making a character in the system. And now you are literally saying there's too many options in this system for me that I don't want to read them all. Which is perfectly reasonable as a personal issue to have, but it is not a fault of the system that there is a lot of shit there for you to choose. How the fuck can we even say that more options is bad?
Otherwise, you get the kind of battles that make you long for a trip to the dentist. The battles are built around teamwork, which is great. Unless, of course, you don't have your PhD in the worst edition of all time, and yes, I'm counting new edition in this, because I don't know what your character can do. How am I going to choose a skill or feat that you can build on?
What?
Counting new edition in this, because otherwise you get the kind of battles that make you long for a trip to the dentist. The battles are built around teamwork, which is great. Unless, of course, you don't have your PhD in the worst edition of all time, and yes, I'm counting new edition in this, because I don't know what your character can do. How am I going to choose a skill or feat that you can build on?
There is teamwork. That is good. I don't know what your characters do, so how am I supposed to build to help your characters? That sounds like a communication issue, my dude. Slash, you didn't read anything about their characters. Okay, you didn't have to in the beginning, but when you want to do stuff like this, where you want to actually do some teamwork stuff and have some stuff work together, then fucking read it. Or ask your friends who are playing the fucking characters what their characters can do and how you might go about helping them do that. Or ask your DM, who might even know more, or is willing to hopefully help you. Ha ha. How much longer does this whining go on for? Another minute. We're almost through. Part of the job of a DM is balancing the campaign. Part of the job of the party is learn the characters and attempt to work together. It's not always going to be successful, but the attempt is expected. Perfectly put. Thank you.
Getting into 4E is like getting into accounting. I'm sure it's great for you. You know, if you love numbers and pain. But it is not for me. What about...
Oh, no shit! You surprised me, sir. It's not for you. You're right. It isn't. So don't play it, I guess. But it's not the fault of the system that a couple of these things are not as you expected, and you didn't seem to have read up on how your character works.
About you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't hold back. If you want to call me a whiny little 5e bitch who has more wine in him than the entire country of France, go for it.
Oh, don't
Thank
do
you
that.
so much for watching, and as always, play your character. Don't let your character play you. Unless it's 4e, then get the hell out of Dodge.
Stop.
200 likes for a part 2. That's right, baby. I'm shilling. But seriously, I don't really have much else besides a list of things I'd rather do than play 4e. And the really whiny stuff I thought was too whiny to put in this video. So, just forget I said anything. Now, what am I kidding? I'm not gonna get 200 likes. I probably won't even get 200 views. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. And remember, friends don't let friends play 4e. Just kidding. People that play 4e don't have any friends.
Ugh. The heck did his group do in 5e? It's like they don't talk. No session 0. Exactly. I don't understand what happened. This man is tempting me to do that. Read the comment section. Yeah, I'll look at the comment section for a second. Let's see. I'm just kind of defeated at this point, you know? Like that hurts. That hurts me. That was a video, that's true. Unlike the 5e DMG, the 4e DMG books are actually useful. You can't run 4e without reading the DMG. There you go. Okay, what we got? Oh! He didn't get 200 likes, I can tell you that much. He did get over 200 views, though. Good for him. I have faith in the comment section to save this video. Yeah. Let's see. This one says they love 4e they love 4e so much. Somebody says, sorry, Ugly Weirdo says, no, that's their username. Says this is how I felt the first time I played a 5e fighter. To be honest, hey, there you go. Let me just skim through a couple of these. Somebody's telling him how marking works. And the Tempest Fighter is a defender with strong multi-targeted focus and movement. So already saying, hey man, there are other ways to play the one that you want. There you go, Tempest Fighter. Somebody fact check that. The design of a Tempest Fighter is the design of a Tempest Fighter is a mix of defender and controller. There you go. Literally the first comment that just talks about, hey man, you could have played what you wanted, basically. That's funny. That's good. I like that. .4e is the best edition of D&D. I kind of want to play 4e, but I never got a chance. Neverwinter isn't like 4e, basically, is what this one says. Okay. Disappointed at Neverwinter because of that. Do you have a challenger to Olive Guy? I don't know. Olive Guy was literally just slandering Coville, if you remember. So, like, we made it through the furry guy. Woo. Self-sanity check, sanity compromised. Yeah, I just... This guy literally says, wait, you think you need to have all the roles covered? This is by Tyrong Koji on that video in the comments. Wait, you think you need to have all the roles covered? No, I mean, the game's always had roles. All 4E did was point them out to help if a group wanted everything covered. Also, I think your DM bumped those goblins up. You weren't supposed to go down that often. And then, okay, you played wrong, period, because 1, fighters get to mark as well, And 2, there's much more to marking as those 2 classes than just a -2 to attack. You get straight up free attacks. Also, crits suck. 1 roll of 20, none of this confirming shit, and you get max damage plus your enchantment dice. I didn't know about that. As for the Player's Handbook 2 and 3 are just more supplements. If you have ever played previous editions, 4E is nothing compared to all the additional supplements they had on offer. See, this is why I absolutely hate the other editions. The massive hypocrisy and straight out lies / wrong information in regards to the 4E hate. I mean, my gods tried to get things right. Yeah, I mean... with the only like valid thing that he said, as far as we could tell, was the goblin having too much health, like, which is a known problem in 4E, that the Monster Manual 1 monsters have too much health, and so you need to kind of rebalance those. That's the only kind of thing. But whether the damage is jacked or whatever, I don't know. I don't have a copy of that, so. And at the moment, I don't want to listen to, I don't want to think about this video anymore right now. So, okay. Well, that's a midpoint spot. And then we'll get to another 4E video. But I think that's a good spot to do some shouting out and some shilling, as one do. So, apologies. But yeah, hey, we have a Patreon. You want to support us a little bit? You can, over on patreon.com/tabletalkdnd. And these are our lovely patrons. Thank you so much to all of you. That is, of course, from the top, Draco Kraken at tier 4. Thank you. Mog0 at tier 4. Thank you as well. Rick, aka Unit Rico, at tier 4. Thank you so much. Slazer at tier 4. Thank you as well. Steely at tier 4. Thank you. Drake Cross at tier 3. Thank you. Chris at tier 2. Thank you. Doom Priest Lux at tier 2. Thank you as well. Frozen Spaghetti at tier 2. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Kill Chrono at tier 2. Thank you as well. If you want to join the Patreon, you can do it for as little as $1 a month if you would like. Again, please don't do so unless you are financially able and also want to. It is not an obligation, and we are trying to do more stuff with the patrons, but last time we did, no one else seems to own Tabletop Simulator, so that didn't really go too well. But in future, if you guys have ideas for Patreon stuff, hey, let us know in the Discord, or send us a message or whatever, and we can set some stuff up. Really just want to do more things for you guys. Obviously, you guys are getting the dice when they come out in July, or when I get them in July, and then hopefully can send them out once I get a PO box and stuff. Because using my real address is probably not the smartest thing to do. But yeah, let us know and all that kind of stuff. Really appreciate you, though. Thank you. And obviously appreciate all of you who are in chat and who have subscribed. Don't you dare think that I don't. Because I do. Just these ones pay us money to get big shouts. So we do that. Anyway, other than that, you can support us by getting our little logo on a t-shirt or on a different piece of paraphernalia over on TeePublic. All of these links will be in the description for you to access. And, of course, last but certainly not least, we are partnered with Humble Bundle. You can go on Humble and use our link in the description to go buy whatever you want off there, and it'll support us, as well as Tabletop Alliance, also linked in the description, where you can find out more information about that charity. And right now there's a really good Capcom sale if you're interested, so go look into that if you want it. Other than that, though, the Starfinder bundle is gone. So there's a Star Trek library. That's pretty cool. But no other tabletop stuff that I know of right now, that I saw. So when that comes up, I will make sure to make special mention of it. But yeah, that's all that. Let's stop talking about that, because that was probably one of the shortest ones that I've done so far, hopefully, I don't know. And let's move on to the second video. Okay. Man, I think what we need is a bit of an interesting comparison. Okay? Let's try this one. Why D&D 4E... That video did not feel short. Oh, don't worry, we took 2 hours. Why D&D 4E is better than D&D 5E by Bell of the Lost Souls, or Bell of Lost Souls. I think this one will be an interesting watch, because I wouldn't claim this.
4th edition is better.
We're not there yet. Bell of Lost Souls. We'll get there. Okay. Because 1, I haven't played it yet, and 2, I think they both have their place, right? Just like 3.5 and 3.0 have their place, and 2E and you know, 1st edition, they all have their place, and I don't know if any is better, right? That's all personal preference. So, let's see what their personal preference is, and why they think this. Hey! Positive video! Hopefully.
4th edition is better than 5th. I'm not even going to bother explaining why. Let's just get right to it. Forget the intro, Matt. Today, we're not going to do that, no matter what.
They're not fatal, so that's a plus in my book. See, again, I get everybody says it's bad. Fatal is bad. I still haven't looked into it. I will, I promise you. I did say that I would before, and I'll do so at some point. I highly suspect that Fatal is bad because the content itself is unsavory, more so than it is like an unfunctioning system, right? That's my assumption, because I know a few things about it that people are like, ew, but other than that, you know. But anyway, so this is, again, as the intro has just started, this, yes, I know it has the anal circumference charts. That doesn't bother me. I don't care, right? The content is why I personally don't care for it. That's fine. Absolutely. That's, if you don't care for it, that is also fine. What I would say is that does the system work? If that's the case, it is a functional system. I don't think it's good or bad. I think that it's functional. I don't care for the content either, from what I've heard, but I'm still going to look into it, and I'll talk about it briefly, right? But I will give you my personal feelings on it, and not it is good or bad. I might say that the content is to my detriment or not. That will be as far as I really go with it. Anyway, Bell of Lost Souls. Why is this better than 5e? Tell me.
4th edition D&D get.
Sorry? 4E is Disneyfied casual gamer crap, says Soy Jack. Okay.
4th edition D&D gets some of the biggest hate of any edition D&D out there. You don't believe me? Mention 4th edition in any room and watch it turn into that meme from American Chopper.
True.
The point is, people have opinions about 4th edition, including us, and it's not hard to see why. 4th edition was a huge departure for D&D. It came off of the decade-plus long high that was 3rd into 3.5 edition, and 4th edition was a radical departure of design. In a nutshell, 4th edition decided to make it explicitly clear that you were playing a game, and a lot of people didn't like that. Look.
Okay, yeah, so far, that seems to be the case. People don't like that they're told that this is a game. That's absolutely true for most people, I guess, that seem to hate it for that one reason, because they keep saying it's an MMO, but they really just mean that it tells you what things are. Specifically, that they have these roles. And even in the supplement, the 3rd supplement, it even lets you cross those roles into different roles. So,
back at the forums from those days. Or on second thought, don't. No good can come of that. But if you did.
What? That's insane. Who the fuck? Who would say that?
You'd see that a big part of the outcry.
Okay, I need to read some of these. Sorry, I just want to read them and actually see what they say. They should have named it something other than Dungeons and Dragons. Fantasy Risk, maybe? WoW on paper? As a game, it stands alone well enough, but it doesn't resemble other D&D as much as it resembles a board game crossbred with an MMO on paper. Already? No? What? No? It just had the tactical combat that you can just have that is now more reliant on you having a board. That's about it, right? Like, it just goes, hey, squares instead of feet, right? Which you can easily translate squares to feet, right? That Sesame Street meme is funny considering the 5e has been turned into Reading Rainbow. Yeah, well.
From those days. Or on second thought, don't.
Yeah, this was my opinion of 4E. 4th edition aiming for a larger audience. They gutted nearly every aspect that I like about D&D in the name of appealing to the ADHD WoW audience. It's like, wow, that doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? Right? Like, have you looked at it? Have you looked at the content of it? It hasn't changed except for the fact that you have your standard action basic attacks, you have your action point to give you another action to do another standard action thing. These at-will powers are more given to you as the same as every class, so that everything feels very similar in the sense of power scaling, right? It doesn't necessarily like rip anything out. It just makes it so that you have to now contend with the fact that these things are a little bit different, right? It's not that everything has been gutted. That's crazy.
No good can come of that. But if you did, you'd see that a
20th isn't 20th in 4.0 like hitting level 4 or 5 in 3.x. I'd hope you could kick your friend's rear, or you are sorely doing something wrong. I'm sorry? So I like 4.0 better, but I'm not hating 3.5. It's just made simpler, and at least now my 20th fighter can kick the axe of my buddy's 20th Wizzy. That it was impossible in 3.5. That seems wrong. Impossible? I mean, the moment that you get up to him, I guess, but this all depends on context. Me, I can't stand the artwork style that they used in 4.0. It's very subjective. So between playing WoW tabletop and that, I've avoided it. What? Okay, but I'll end with this caveat. The group and DM/GM will make or break any system. It's supposed to be social after all. One thing I have liked in 4.0 related has been the Flash/YouTube videos. I found those to be rather amusing. Well, this is... okay. I mean, yes, you're right. The group and the DM will make or break any system. That is true. That I absolutely agree with. But everything else, I'm like, what? I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be social. I guess I agree with that as well. But okay. Some of these reasons are goofy. Well, welcome to 4E hate.
big part of the outcry against fourth.
I grew up with 3.5, but also loved 2.0, and was excited for 4.0. I had the first 3 books pre-ordered and everything, but when I read through them and studied them a bit, I was disgusted, and regretted ever getting them. Usually I hear that the edition you are first introduced to is the edition you will love for life. Okay? Yeah. Why? If you just don't like it, that's fine. That's okay. But why?
Outcry against 4th edition was how it felt Disneyfied. People would say it felt like playing in a theme park version of D&D, or that D&D had become an MMO, and it was World of Warcraft, but on your tabletop. The point is, 4th edition did something different. The rules stepped away from the idea of trying to simulate a world to trying to make a game.
Don't know about that one. D&D is a fantasy adventure game. You create a character, team up with your other characters, your friends to explore a world and battle monsters. While the D&D game uses dice and miniatures, the action takes place in your imagination. There you have the freedom to create anything you can imagine, with an unlimited special effects budget and the technology to make anything happen. Page 6 in your player's handbook for 4E. Infinitely flexible. Adventure is the heart of the D&D. DM sets the scene, but no one knows what's going to happen until the characters do something, and then anything can happen. Cooperative game in which you and your friends work together to complete each adventure and have fun. The storytelling game where the only limit is your imagination. It's a fantasy adventure game building on the traditions of the greatest fantasy stories of all time. In the adventure, you can attempt anything you can think of. Want to talk to the dragon instead of fighting it? Want to disguise yourself as an orc and sneak into the foul lair? Go ahead and give it a try. Your actions might work or they might fail spectacularly, but either way, you've contributed to the unfolding story of the adventure and probably had fun along the way. Weird. Also never heard that before. If that was true, I would actually be a 4E player and not a Pathfinder 1E guy. But you were already playing a game. The system was just modified to be more relatable to the audience it was aiming for. See, I don't know about that one. 4E also has, in my opinion, the best application of using skills in all of D&D. I don't remember that being that much different, but I could be wrong. Let me go look at skills really quick, just to see if I missed anything. 176. 176 in your player's handbook. Right, you can train yourself in skills, that's right. Or sorry, skill training is, yeah, how you can learn additional trained skills, right? Yeah. Did the take 10s. Skill challenges, that's right, I remember those. Common knowledge, expert knowledge, master knowledge, yeah. Although I would probably bump those DCs down a bit, because common knowledge I would say is a 10. Just in general. Monster knowledge checks? Oh, okay. I guess, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't seem that different, you know?
Which is why they got rid of so many like 3rd edition tropes like diagonal movement is 1.5 squares, and they just turned it into cube world.
Did they actually have diagonal movement as 1.5? I thought that was a Pathfinder thing. I didn't think 3 had that. I must be misremembering. Whatever.
Everything operates on a grid. The game required you to have not only a battle grid, but miniatures to play on. 3rd edition kind of also required a grid and miniatures. They just weren't as explicit about it. But 4th edition was. 4th edition was the D&D designers taking the unwritten rules of D&D and writing them down where everyone can see. And a lot of people didn't like that.
Which is fair. You can not like something, that's totally fine. Skill challenges are also on 179 in Player's Handbook. But yeah, skill challenges are cool. I guess I'm thinking in hindsight because skill challenges have just always been a thing that I've done, but not like specifically seen a rule, I guess, technically. But yeah, I mean, so far, I mean, so you technically don't, again, you don't technically need the battle grid or the minis. You could just use it like a die and a piece of paper, right? Or you could just imagine it all, you're fine. And 3.0 is the same thing, like 3.x, same exact thing, so, eh.
In 4th edition, level 1 is the least suckiest of all because 4th edition took a radical approach to players. You can see this in how all of the player characters are designed. You're not just fantasy adventurers, you're fantasy heroes. How did they capture that feeling? How did 4th edition give everyone something interesting and exciting to do on their turn? They did it with powers. In 4th edition, powers rule everything around you.
What the fuck was that? That was so loud, and I assume that was a reference. I've always enjoyed skill challenges for the player ingenuity required. Yeah, skill challenges are cool.
If you're familiar with 5th edition, powers are like battle master maneuvers, or if we're being really accurate, they're more like wizard spells. Because 4th edition sets out to address the disparity that exists between fighters and wizards that has since like the first days of the game. One of the
There's a reference to Wu-Tang Clan's song Cream, legendary rap song. I don't know anything.
big unwritten rules of D&D is that the wizard eventually outstrips the fighter. At some point, the fighter stops being the star of combat and is instead there to soak up damage and maybe do a little bit while the spellcasters do all the real work. The trope, linear fighters, quadratic wizards, originates with D&D as a way of reflecting the uneven power curve that these two classes have.
That's true. And with 4E, it does actively do things to fix that, and I appreciate that. It makes it so that everybody is similar in the sense of power scale, and they're all going to be able to do the same kinds of things in the sense of being able to take on the same challenges, which is good, I think, overall. But I also understand the wizards becoming incredibly powerful because they're literally using magic. It's crazy. So I've never had a problem with it, but I do recognize that it can be an issue for some people.
4th edition fixed that. How? By turning everyone into wizards. Yep, that's right. You are a wizard, and you're a wizard, and you're a wizard, Harry. Everyone got spells effectively, and they let them use them all the time. If you were playing a melee character, your spell might be called Cleave, or Slash and Pummel, or Anvil of Doom, or Vorpal Tornado. Those are all real 4th edition powers that fighters specifically had. In 4th edition, fighters could do area attacks, could hit enemies, could apply conditions with every attack. They could even rush around the battlefield or give themselves regeneration, or jump like super far, even teleport a little bit, or buff their own movement speed. And that's just fighters. Barbarians, rangers, all of these like typically martial characters had abilities that sounded and worked a little bit more like spells. And there were at-will powers, which are a lot like 5th edition cantrip. Then there are encounter powers. As the name suggests, they're powers you can use once per encounter. They're typically a little bit more dramatic because they're a more limited resource. And daily powers, which are supposed to be the once per day, this changes the fight. You know, this is your super ultimate attack. From just the name, tell how often you were expected to use the power. And everything being based in powers meant that the designers could get weird with it. Because they have a tighter control on what a given character can and can't do, powers let them flex their creative muscles and introduce a ton of new character classes. 4th edition alone had Avengers, Wardens, Battle Minds, Invokers, Shamans, Sword Mages, even a Vampire that you could play as a class, Seekers, Assassins.
All of these things could also be played in 3.5. Let's not gloss over that fact. Some of them were locked to prestige classes, I'll give you. But there was a lot of these that were like before. So they didn't introduce them, they were just there. They were there as more base kind of stuff, to be fair, as well. And they weren't locked behind the stats and stuff that you needed to actually get to those prestige classes. But I would argue that sometimes I would like for there to still be those kinds of things, just so that it would be a little it'd feel a little bit more monumental once you got there, because it was kind of cool to build up to a prestige class, you know. But that is a personal thing. I will give you that 100%. Time to skip to the present. Welcome back, Lux. Feel like I'm gonna have a lot of distractions tonight. Well, there you go.
Ardents, you get the idea. But 4th edition came up with some of the most innovative classes that any edition of D&D has had, and it can be summed up, represented by the one class that almost everyone's been clamoring for since 4th edition went the way of Google Wave and Vine and all the other technology that died before its time. And that is the Warlord.
Warlord was also in 3.5. It was. Unless I'm crazy? Hold on. Am I crazy? Because I remember specifically saying this. There was Orc Warlord. That was a thing. Apparently in Races of Faerun. That's not what I'm thinking of. Not at all. Let me find it. I swear I remember seeing this. War. Am I crazy? Oh my god, I might be crazy. War Blade and War Chief. Okay. No, okay. I could have sworn Warlord was in 3.0. Or 3.5. Someone back in time removed the 3.5 Warlord from the timeline. That's right. Yeah, it's a Mandela effect or something. I'm kidding. You might be thinking of the Martial class. No, I think I was thinking like something else like War Chief. They should have expected Google Fi to die early. Fi was the worst Zelda part. Fi was the worst Zelda partner. There you go. Nice. Yes. Yeah, I'm thinking something different, I think. I think 3.5 had a martial class. It probably did, yeah. It probably had something that was similar to Warlord, too. But it wasn't called Warlord. I don't know. I could have sworn, though, I had seen it before. But I will be absolutely willing to be wrong.
Warlord is a D&D legend. It was a class that healed other people in the party but used no magic. You just picked someone up, gave them a cool, manly, like, warrior arm clasp and said, now get back in there. And they'd do it. They'd heal. Or you could give them an extra attack on your turn, or you could protect your allies, or you could shift your whole party around in combat. Warlords were a brand new paradigm for what a character could be like in D&D.
That's cool.
The game was full of classes like this, and each one had a different role in the party. And that's another unwritten rule of D&D. You have frontline fighters, squishy spellcasters, and in general, the one protects the others. Of course, that wasn't always the case. I think as it shook out in 4th edition, the only thing that really mattered, just like in 5th, is how often can you hit and how hard can you hit while doing it.
Yeah, that's just how D&D is in general. It just kind of devolves to that. Like, yes, you do have the ability to protect and stuff, but it's never absolutely necessary. As long as you have strategy, you can probably beat most situations without having any of the classes, or sorry, any of the archetypes, I guess is the word. Not whatever the groups, I guess in 4E, whatever they were in every edition. Precursor to Warlord, is that what Martial was? Let me Martial. There you go. I love the site D&D Tools. Everybody should use that if you're doing 3.5 stuff. It's a great site. Martial from the Miniatures Handbook? Oh, man. Oh, it has auras and stuff where you can... Oh, this is cool. Oh. I like aura. That's neat. I think I remember playing a Warlord in 3.5 one time. Dude, this is the thing. I feel like I remember there being a 3.5 Warlord, but it might just be that it was a homebrew thing that I saw. But regardless, Martial looks like what it's kind of talking about, yeah. Okay, that's cool. I like that.
How many attacks are you making, right? Like that's been the secret to D&D no matter the edition. The point is that they tried acknowledging like these different play styles and giving people options to do. Like it was fun, and you did more than just heal your party when you were playing a healer. You might heal someone and move them, or like heal someone and then give them an extra attack or something like that.
Yeah, 4E seems to have a lot of that kind of stuff where it's a lot more strategy, or at least it has a lot more powers that are specifically geared towards strategy. What it seems like they did is they went towards that whole strategy element more so, and not it's not a MMO, it's just the fact that you can do things like a fucking precision strike team, right? Like you can be that kind of party. Oh my god, dog started barking. I got scared. But it seems like you could be that kind of party, and I don't know if you guys can hear that. I don't think so. And it just required you to, have a little bit more teamwork knowledge in the sense of like talking to your fellow players and shit. It just seemed, that's what it seems like. It doesn't seem like an MMO. It just seems like you can talk to your players and have a battle strategy more easily with powers that you kind of have to figure out in that way. I don't know. Also, like classes in Book of Nine Swords for 3.5. I remember Book of Nine Swords. I used it like 1 or 2 times. If I recall correctly, it was the same book that had the Kensai. Let me look. Because if you didn't know, D&D Tools, this cool little website, allows you to see where things came from. Kensai. Complete Warrior! See, that's what I thought. Complete Warrior... Nope, it's not in there. War Shaper. Nature's Warrior. No, Warlord. Okay. If there was a video game equivalent to 4E, it's Final Fantasy Tactics. Yeah, exactly. Any kind of tactical game like that is what I see. More so than any of these MMO comparisons. It's very strange that people talk about it like it's an MMO. It doesn't make any sense to me. It makes more sense to me as a turn-based tactics game. Right? Like Battle Brothers or any of that kind of stuff, right? Might have been the Book of Nine Swords. Okay, well, Book of Nine Swords. Let me see. Book of Nine Swords. Classes in the Tome of Battle, Book of Nine Swords. Thank you. Nope, Warblade. Crusader as well. God, there's so many classes in 3.0, 3.5. Man. Yeah, it still feels familiar to me, Lux. Don't worry. I have the same feeling, but I can't seem to back it up. So, unless somebody else can, please do. But if we're just being crazy, then I'm okay with being crazy for a little bit. Powers can't do anything outside of combat. Well, that just seems stupid that you would think that. What? Why? What? Warblade, that's what I was thinking of? Okay, there you go. Yeah, Warblade is a maneuver kind of guy. That's cool. Oh my god. I feel like I've seen conversions of the 4E Warlord to 3.5 and that's it. Okay. Love to play a 3.5 game that used the Book of Nine Swords and Psionic rules. See, yeah, my DM back when I learned 3.5 was like super against psionics for some reason. And then when we started looking into them, we were like, oh, this is fine. What do you mean? This is nothing. Like, we can just... It doesn't mess with anything, right? But anyway. What was I gonna say? Oh my god, I was saying stuff. Oh yeah, if somebody actually said this, which I'm assuming somebody did, because I unfortunately have faith in this person because they seem to have sources and things like that I can now see, though, and they seem to have a knowledge of this kind of stuff, and they seem to have read 4E, so they kind of know what they're talking about. That just seems like a lack of imagination, at least for this kind of complaint. Plus, are you really doing, like, quote-unquote powers outside of combat and not just trying to stab a guy, you know? I don't know, it's just a basic attack, quote-unquote.
Outside of combat, 4th edition made some big innovations too. And again, it all comes down to the idea that you are playing a game and it should be fun to play it. I'm talking about skill challenges. Skill challenges are something that everyone who ever played 4th edition even once remembers. These are one of the few times that Wizards of the Coast tried to give more than just cursory mechanics to accomplishing things with your skills. Finally, you have a way to do something more than just roll a d20 and see if number high. Skill challenges are pretty simple. Get X number of successes, usually 3 to 12, before you get 3 failures. Every player at the table can participate, and they all have their own skills that they can bring to the table. If you read through some of the better 4th edition adventures, you'll find that the designers gave different skills, different uses for different skills for the skill challenges. So like in a chase, you might use athletics to vault over a toppled fruit cart to catch up to your prey. You might use perception to see where they're going. You might use insight to try and figure out where they're headed next so you can cut them off. Whatever you were trying to do, like you got to use your skill, you got to roll it, and if you succeeded, you contributed to the overall goal.
Yeah, so this is again, I feel like maybe it was an influence from 4E that just was like a weird thing in the ether, but again, I feel like this was just a thing that people did, or at least that I did, and that my group would do on occasion, of just have these skill challenges without them really being a thing that was like ever said or stated in books, right? I feel like they were always around, at least when I was doing things, because it just made sense to me that you could do different things in a situation, and it could ultimately get to the point where you go through the situation and still succeed in whatever you're doing, just with whatever you're good at, right? Like, it was always a thing. And I don't think 5e has like a specific thing for skill challenges, though I could be wrong with that, but I just use them in general because they're just good to use. And again, I never played 4e, so I think it's just an inherent thing that's just a good thing. But thank you, 4E. Yeah, exactly. 5e players pay your respects to 4E for skill challenges. Absolutely. Anybody can do that, I guess. The worst thing the DMs did with skill challenges was tell players before the challenge started what skills to use. And they told players the metrics they needed for success and failure. This should have been kept secret. Yeah, I would agree. I think it would... Okay, so let me lay out a scene for you, right? You're in a... in an alchemist's room. I think we laid out a scene when we were first talking about this. You're in an alchemist's room, right? And then you go, okay, so you guys need to create a potion, right? You need to figure out how to create this potion from scratch. It's the only way that you can maybe get a tonic to help you with the next battle or whatever, or you're trying to do this for your job for the guild or something, right? Whatever you need this potion for, I need you guys to make it, okay? And then what I would say is, how do you want to help make this? Okay, what do you want to do to try to help make it? And then you could either respond to me by saying, I want to use my insight to see if I can understand the pages of these books on the shelf, so that I can maybe figure out how to do the potion better and guide the potion making, right? And then I go, okay. Or you could say, well, I don't know, I'm pretty strong. What could I do with my athletics? And then I could go, okay, you can try to start crushing up ingredients and making sure that everything is well and truly powdered, so that you can put it together in the potion for all these things that are a little harder to do for regular mortar and pestle, right? And then they can go, oh, okay, I'll try that. Or somebody else goes, I have no idea what I could do. And then you as the GM go, okay, let's see what you have for skills. What you seem to be good at, you seem to be good at perception. Okay. Or investigation. See if you can find any kind of clues inside of the room with your investigation by searching it very thoroughly and seeing if you can find any sort of hint or clue, as I said, to help with this potion making. Like, you just got to kind of figure it out on the fly, and whether or not they succeed is up to you in that moment. But you don't just go, hey, you should do athletics and give me, you gotta beat a 15. You need to make a animal handling check, and that is you probably need a 20 for that, honestly. Like, because that just takes it away, and that just doesn't make it a storytelling moment. It just makes it a roll your dice moment, right? It doesn't make it part of it makes it so out meta that it's like, oh, what am I doing even? Like, that doesn't feel right, you know? If anything, I always felt like psionics might have been a bit not exactly underpowered, but slightly less punchy than magic of the same level. Potentially. It's been a while since I've looked at psionics. I did a skill challenge in 5e recently where I rolled horribly in athletics as the only strength-based character in the party, and it was only the effort of the others in the group with the other skills that we won. It was a spelunking into a ghost well that had our rogue perceive the bottom from its illusions. An inspiring warlock using persuasion, druid navigating us with survival, and other warlock intimidating. There you go, yeah. That sounds great. You do what you're good at, and you try to figure out ways that you can do that, or you figure out other skills that you can use that might make sense in that situation, you know? The other way that I can see this going, that somebody might just go, okay, I need somebody who can do a knowledge check. I need somebody who can do, like, you just tell them what they need and then they assign themselves to it. It feels the same as, like, saying, okay, what do you want to try to do in this situation? Help, right? Because if I leave it ambiguous and make it so that they can choose as players and figure out what they want to do with characters and, like, how they could, as characters, could do it, and they might even argue, like, weird things that they do with skills, and in those cases I might say yes or no. It really depends on what they say. I want it to be the players that drive this narrative forward, right? I can give them the scenarios, but I want them to be the driving force, not me going, I need you to give me a 15. Right? Takes away the mystery. It takes away so much, I think. By telling players ahead of time the skills and metrics, it turned the challenge from role-playing or downtime opportunity into a gamified, boring system. Hey, there you go. That's why I like Clocks from Blades in the Dark. Why I think Clocks from Blades in the Dark took the skill challenges system and perfected it. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. We have our opinions on Blades in the Dark as well. There's a few things that are neat with it, and a few things that are just like, eh. But anyway.
Was a way to get everyone at the table involved instead of the usual chorus of, oh, me, I also have Arcana. I want to make an Arcana check. I want to make an Arcana check. I want to make a search check. I want to make an insight check. Yeah. But not only that, skill challenges gave pressure and a mechanical benefit for both success and a result for failure. It's honestly one of the best mechanics I think D&D has ever had, to the point that people will still run skill challenges in 5th edition. Isn't that right, Matt?
It's true.
That's just the player side. Let's talk about monsters.
Boring and uninspired. Now that I just doubt. Every edition has their cool, unique monsters and such. Like,
Another unwritten rule of D&D is that monsters should use a variety of different tactics, and that you should almost never fight just one monster.
I was about to say, this is the whole monster roll thing that we really, really liked when we were talking about the system. Having different things being these different types of monsters, and, like, having them, it really helps for DMs to create these monsters and put them in their roles just by looking at what they can do, and then just saying, okay, this guy's going to be a controller, this guy's going to be an artillery, this guy's going to be a lurker, right? Like, you're going to be able to put them in and slot them in and know exactly how they're going to act and their kind of tactics and stuff. It's very, very helpful for streamlining setting up an encounter. I really, really believe that.
That's not how the game is meant to be played. 4th edition makes that explicit too. Just like they did with players, they introduced the idea of monster rolls for every monster in the game. There's artillery, which do damage at range, brutes, which hit hard and have a lot of hit points, controllers, which, just like controller players, do all the status effect and all the AoE damage, lurkers, which typically rely on stealth and high damage against a single target, skirmishers, which are very mobile combatants and can be very annoying and hard to hit, and soldiers who have high AC and high defenses. On top of that, though, you have 3 other categories of monsters: minions, elites, and solos. And that's just the start. Like, that's just the general rules. Monsters in 4th edition were great. They were so creative. They had a ton of variety to them. I mean, look at just like goblins. There's goblin cutters, goblin snipers, goblin...
Yeah. I mean, this is just it's... The monster manuals and stuff are very useful for giving you, bases, right? Like, in 5th edition especially, the original monster manual would give you just baseline, this is what these things are, and then from there you had supplements that gave you, and just like in this, you can see that these are the supplements and such that these things came from. But you had the supplements that gave you specified monsters that you could then customize even further. And I feel like with 4E especially, with the way that it works, you could do that incredibly easily just from looking at one and then going pop and putting it right into that slot. It is something that I think is just like the minions and all of this kind of stuff. I'm surprised it didn't stick around, although I can understand because they didn't want to use the same terminology and make people go, it's just 4E again, even though they used so much of the same terminology in 5E. If you like 5E, you like 4E. Like, or you probably would like 4E. If you don't like 4E and you like 5E, that's fine. I'm just saying that they're very similar to the point where I can't see why it's hated by people that love 5E, because there's so much that doesn't feel like it's different. I don't know of any monsters that I would call boring. Some can be misused. Absolutely.
Goblin blackblades, goblin cutthroats, goblin warriors.
Yeah, ignorance and groupthink. Yes, absolutely. That's just the common thing of why people hate 4E, and I want to fight against that every fucking day, and so that's why we put these things out.
Goblin beast riders, sharpshooters, hexers, hex hurlers, skull cleavers, underbosses. All of these different kinds of goblins have like a different role and a different play style in combat, and they tell you through their powers just what you're supposed to do with them. And even alongside the monster manual like entries, they would tell you what to do. So you'd have like, oh yeah, there's 2 skull cleavers, there's a hex hurler, there's a couple of fire beetles here as well. Like, it came with like pre-designed little encounter chunks, and you can kind of see exactly how they're meant to play out. All the monsters are like this, from ogres to bugbears to even dragons. Look at the stat blocks. Take a look at the Elder Pyroclastic Dragon. This is a 21st level dragon, and that's not even the highest level you can get. D&D 4th edition goes up to 30th level, and monsters go even higher. But the Pyro...
Yeah, in 4th edition you can go to like 40. It's not... Level caps are nothing, really, if you think about... Like, 5e is the one that has everything limited down to 20 for some reason. I don't understand why they've done that. They seem to be slowly just taking away the level caps and stuff, but I think it's mostly because, if I had to guess... Mostly because people don't go past level 10 in 5e. And they've kind of seen that in multiple studies or something, where a lot of information... Like, it was that whole thing that we looked at in that one video, where the graph showed that a lot of campaigns just ended at level 10, because after that, people just... I assume, and we all kind of assume, that it just gets to be such a slog. Like, fucking, I don't care, right? The thing about 5e also applies to Pathfinder 2e. There's even more 4e in Pathfinder 2e, yet most fans of Pathfinder 2e still hate 4e. Yeah, well, most people just hate 4e in general, right? Like, that's the thing. If you like playing role-playing games, you probably will like 4e. It's just to give it a chance, okay? You know? If you don't like it, that's fine, but, like, don't just go off the fact that people are like, it fucking sucks, and that's it, right? Ask them why, and think about it, please.
Pyroclastic Dragon has a ton of abilities that make it difficult for a party to deal with. It's got its claw and bite attacks, sure, but then it's got a breath weapon. It has a reaction that it uses whenever it's hit. It explodes with fiery energy and knocks back whoever hit it. It's got an area attack that knocks enemies prone, and it has an aura that damages and poisons anyone within 5 squares of it. Compare that to like a red dragon out of 5th edition, and you have a much harder, much more challenging enemy that makes the fight feel dynamic. It's constantly dealing damage, it's got big attacks you gotta watch out for, and it can hurt you on your turn.
I mean, so I don't know if this is a good comparison. What I'll say is that they're both different combat systems and styles. Where I think 5e's dragons specifically, if we want to compare the two, this is a completely different dragon in a way. But comparing this to a red dragon in 5e, they have their legendary actions, which is supposed to make things dynamic and such. They have their layer actions. If you have layers going on, like, you're not fighting a dragon outside of its layer most of the time. Let's be honest. We don't, if you want to run a dragon, you have to make them very intelligent, because they are. So why would they ever land or fight them in such a way that would be disadvantageous? I mean, I guess depending on intelligence score, if you really want to go by that. But I at least have the notion that dragons are very smart. Most of the time, unless they are specifically animalistic, like the white dragons. The white dragons are much more animalistic in 5e. And I think they've been for a while, though I don't have a confidence in that. But you wanna do tactics with these kinds of guys. So I think the dynamic stuff is more on the plate of the DM. I guess plate isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. It's the DM's job to make these fights interesting and dynamic, not necessarily just the fact that these monsters exist and have their different attacks and stuff. It's how you use them, okay? Because, like, you could give all this shit to a 5e dragon and it would be a different fight. It would be a completely different fight, but it really relies on how they're run, I think, more so than it just being there's more here, right? I feel like you can still have a very, very interesting, very epic, quote unquote, dragon fight in 5e. It's a different system.
But even look at a normal dragon, right? Like, take a black dragon from 4th compared to 5th. 4th edition's got a whole agenda and story in its stat block. It's got a number of traits that give it extra actions. You know, when it can use its tail outside of its turn, it can...
So, let's not, don't forget that 5e dragons also do. If they're also elder dragons, quote unquote, adult dragons, they have the legendary actions. I think even, let me get my totally legitimate copy of the monster manual really quick, because I do own that in my real life, and I need to go find black dragons very quickly. But let's just not. It's a little weird that we're not giving the due to dragons in 5e, because the whole point of legendary actions is to give them that additional shit. Yeah, they get legendary actions when they get to adult. So, you know, it's oh right, yeah, sorry. There you go. Anyway, Pathfinder 2 has the benefit of that 5e boom and how long it's been out that's inspired some of these casual converts to try other systems. Yeah. If they say 4e sucks, tell them they suck. Add to the fuel to the dumbfire. No, don't do that. But yeah, so yeah, this is the thing. You get 3 legendary actions which you can do after every character does something, right? They still have the auras of the, like, frightful presence and They still have multi-attack, which allows them to do many different attacks at once. They have their breath weapons, they have their legendary resistances. Like, all of these things combined would also tell a story, quote unquote, in the stat block alone, I guess. Like, that's a weird one, friend. I don't really follow what we're doing here, but okay.
Bite, it can charge, it's got attacks that can hit more than one.
Sorry, it can bite, it can charge. Though that's just because it can bite. A charge is something that anyone can do already. Anyway, what my ultimate point here is, just because there's more doesn't necessarily mean better in this instance. I wouldn't say that there's more feats in 4E, therefore making it better than 5E. 5E doesn't use feats. Like, they're optional. They're not, the system is not made for feats. It's not made for magic items, right? It's not better because of that. It's just something that I would prefer in my system. I would prefer there to be the balance for these things that are included in it, I guess, or at least point parts in it. Look at the hit points on that dragon. I didn't even see 860 at level 21. Oh yeah, 18. Whoa, that's a lot. Is that too much? I don't know. They get 430 and they're bloodied. They get bloodied breath when they're bloodied. Oh, okay, cool. They can immediately use it when they're oh, that's cool. I like that. I like the idea of getting them to a point where they just become more ferocious. I love bloodied as a thing from 4E. That's so cool. In my honest opinion. Yeah, that's why we house rule hit points to half hit points. Okay. Yeah, I guess I would have to look at like damage numbers and stuff as a, what is a CR? I don't know. I guess 18, right? I don't know. I don't see it on the sheet there. Unless I'm not looking in the right thing. And double the damage monsters too. Yeah, I mean, if that works for you, it works for you. That's the thing. Whatever works.
Person. If it's bloodied, which just means it's at or below half hit points, it deals damage to anyone adjacent to it anytime it gets hurt. That alone is a decision you have to make. It's got attacks that are ranged attacks beyond just its single rechargeable breath weapon that it can.
Sorry. Are you getting the bloodied and it hurts things around it because of that? It's just this one that I see the bloodied thing for, but okay. 4E didn't have a CR system, it used the XP budget system for encounter building. Oh, I thought it had CR. Must have missed that. Oh well.
Use every turn if it wants. It deals ongoing damage, that's the gift that keeps on giving. It's got reaction attacks. There's a lot going on here. Compare that to like the 5th edition Black Dragon and there's just no contest. That same kind of monster design you can find throughout 4th edition. The whole idea.
Well, okay, well, you didn't even. Just no contest. I mean, let's talk about it for a second then. Let's go back. So, remember that they can only do one standard action per turn. Okay? They get one of these standard at-wills every time. And only some of these happen when certain conditions are met, right? Takes a moment for them to do these things. They get 2 action points, and that's it, right? To do anything else. Total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 specific things that they can do, though one of those is only when it's first bloodied. So it's their encounter power. Couple of these need a recharge on a specific die roll. Other than that, nothing really that is too crazy in the sense of there's a lot of things here, sure, but then again we look over at the ancient Black Dragon, and I'll even pull it ahead a second so we can see it. You can't really read it too well, or at least I can't, but I have it next to me here. Multi-attack, it can use its frightful presence, then makes 3 attacks, one with its bite, and 2 with its claws. So immediately we have more attacks going on. We have the ability for bite. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as opposed to 9. And on its turn, it can use its full thing to do 3 total, right? So I don't know, man. I feel like like I said, I feel like there's still a lot that you can do, especially with the fact that you can interject between players' turns with these legendary actions. I feel like that's also, like, that's a lot there that we can use. So again, 2 different systems that have very different ways that they go about things, because the action points are a limited resource in the first in 4E, whereas this one, these legendary actions, they can do 3 per turn. Every time it hits their turn again, you get to do you can get all 3 back and do them again. So, and I guess, yeah, and you have the one thing that also recharges on a die roll, your acid breath here. So, I mean, there's a little bit less, but again, I don't think that's enough for me to go. 4E definitely has better monsters, right? I think they have appropriate monsters for their system.
Contest. That same kind of monster design you can find throughout 4th edition. The whole idea is that fights are fun and should feel challenging and dynamic, and you should always be like paying attention to like, where are you, and are you going to attack now? Are you going to risk taking damage? What are you going to do?
I mean, that's every single combat based TTRPG, right? Like that's not just 4E. It really depends on how things are run. Absolutely depends on how things are run. This isn't a 4E specific thing. 4E is where the monsters came to play. I mean, yeah, that's true, but again, the heroes also kind of come to play too at that point, you know? So, I would imagine it's just, you know, apples and oranges, I think, a little bit. Just a little bit.
And again, it's all because it wrote down those unwritten rules, including having monsters that act differently when they're below half hit points, right? Like, hit points are kind of a nebulous thing in any D&D except for 4th, where once you get to half or below, you're bloodied. And that meant something. Sometimes monsters would get extra attacks or deal extra damage. Other monsters, like gnolls, would get extra attacks against you if you were bloodied.
Yeah, I mean, this bloodied is definitely a thing that 4E has over 5E. It makes it so that doing damage and all that kind of stuff has a visible effect, right? Oh, I also missed time warp again. I'm going to be pretty lost on this video until Friday. Okay, that's all right, Lux. No worries. But legitimately, bloodied is a definite example that I'll go with and say absolutely that 4E has that over 5E, where hit points really don't matter until you're down, right? That's it. And even then you're fine most of the time except for your death saves, right? But with the condition of bloodied, that adds a lot to the combat for 4E. So you're right there. I'll give you that.
It's extremely gamey, sure, but it's also very fun. It makes you consider like where your hit points are. There's a reason to heal before you get down into like 0 hit points or very low that you might be taken out.
Yeah, okay, so and this further goes on to the thing of like 5E does have a little bit of a problem with its health system and healing, because it's very easy to not die in that game, right? Like we've talked about it before, it's incredibly easy to just keep going through things and never have to worry about these things. But again, that also depends on how things are run. Obviously, if you want that kind of game to be like how 5E is, where you just go to sleep and everything's fine, and in the middle of the day, if you're like half or less, you're totally fine, basically. It's not until you're down, and when you're down, you then just get back up and you're fine. I don't know if 4E has that problem. I don't remember that at all, but it might be there or not. But regardless, like that, I'll say that at least for the bloodied thing, that's already a step in me going, yeah, I mean, being bloodied is bad most of the time. Especially with monsters that literally can take advantage of when you're bloodied. So that's something that it does have over 5E as well.
Bloodied is actually one of my favorite mechanics. Like, it lets you know, like, all right, I'm putting the hurt on this monster. It's time to either break out the big guns and try and finish them off quickly, or I can kind of ease off of the gas a little bit. Like, it's a good indicator. And having different powers, having different abilities. Some monsters had like some kind of transformations that they would go through. It's a lot like the phases of an MMO boss fight. World of Warcraft especially. Like, you get down like 20%, 60% of their health and they transform, right? It's the whole, it's not even my final form, you.
I mean, okay, so we don't have to use just MMOs like WoW and stuff. It is like any kind of game where it has multiple stages, right? Multiple boss phases. Could be a character action game, could be Dark Souls, right? Like, could be, yeah, it could be anything like those kinds of games, and it's a cool idea. It is a gamey thing, absolutely. I 100% agree with you there. And I also agree with you that it kind of does add to that kind of, oh fuck, right? Because I mean, adrenaline's the hell of a thing, let's be honest. So I feel like having it so that monsters that don't have the same anatomy as us and have like weird magic and shit that also can be at play, where when they get to a certain state in their being, they bust out the big shit, right? It at least makes sense to me. And it doesn't feel like, it feels gamey, but it's not like so gamey that it's like, I'm playing a video game. Like, that's weird, and I don't understand that.
Fools kind of thing. Bloodied was a great way to bring that into D&D. Even 5th edition has the kind of legacy of that idea with its mythic monsters introduced in Mythic Odysseys of Theros, where if you kill them once, they get all of their health back, and they have even more powerful attacks than they did before. They became more powerful than you could possibly imagine because you struck them down.
I didn't know that was a thing in Theros. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's the same concept, except full health and doing it all over again sounds a little tedious in my book. It's only like in that kind of case, I'd rather it be in a video game, and that's in 5e. Huh. Weird. Nobody's complained about. Well, probably people have complained about that actually. Is Odysseys of Theros one of the ones that people don't like as much? I think that was one of the ones that, well, it has sick ass art, let's be honest. If you remember, we looked at that a little bit. But I don't know. No, Frostwind Dale, I think, was the one that people didn't buy. That's the one, I think.
4th edition did a ton of stuff like that, and it's kind of taken a back burner owing to 5th edition's like legacy game status. There's a lot of homages to 2nd edition and 3rd edition here, and if you're looking at things by just purely capitalist standards, 5th edition wins. I mean, it's the most popular, it's got the most players, it's sold the most, it's made Wizards of the Coast $1 billion along with Magic the Gathering. Most of that's probably Magic the Gathering, but are numbers the only thing that matter, comrades? Or are they just telling you the tale that your oppressors want you to know? You can seize the means of your own production and just go play 4th edition if you want. In fact, doing so will probably change the way that you play 5th edition. Doing so will change how you think about the game.
I think, honestly, this is another thing that just applies to every TTRPG. If you move away from D&D for a while and you try out other systems, it's only going to help you in general to find things that you really like about every system that you can kind of intersperse into other games, right? All that kind of shit, right? Where anything is and you can make some Frankenstein's monsters out of different things from every system if you want, and then just make your own fun little thing. It's just play other games, man. D&D is good, but there's a lot of stuff that's cool out there, and I would also say play 4E if you haven't, because it seems like it would be fun to do and fun to try and really just get that experience with and really figure out if you do like it or not, you know? CR with D&D is weird if you're using the video games. It used to video games. It's really based on how dangerous the monster can be, more than how hard the fight actually will be, especially with save or die monsters. Yeah. Those can screw up a PC pretty badly, but if the character passes the save, that same monster can feel like it barely posed any challenge. Yep. It's not that the monster wasn't dangerous, your character just dodged a bullet. Absolutely.
That's why 4th edition is the best edition of D&D. It changes like what you think about. It changes the way that you think about fights. It changes the way that you think about what a player character can do, what your hero can do. So, yeah.
I mean, okay, so it potentially could. I don't think it does all the time. Does it force you to be more tactical? It might lead you that way, but I don't think it forces you to. So I don't think it will automatically change your views on how things work in that kind of respect or anything like that. Is it I don't know about that one. I think it's fine to do and to see things in a different perspective, in a different edition, see if you like it or not. That's as far as I'll go with that, because like I don't know about changing everything. It might. I mean, it very well might, but I don't know. I wouldn't make these claims.
Yeah, 4th better than 5th. Hey, if you are trying to decide between 4th and 5th and can't make up your mind, why not give up on D&D altogether just for a little bit? Check out our video on how to play Avatar: The Last Airbender, the RPG. I guess it's called Avatar Legends, but that doesn't matter. Just click this video. You know what to do. I'm JR. This has been Bell of Lost Souls. We'll catch you next time. Woo, we're doing a new thing now. Spinning around till Matt cuts me out.
Nice. I mean, I like that video overall. I really do. You should go look at more of Bell of Lost Souls. Go and see how they're doing. That overall is fine. I think there's a few things in there that I would just be like, what? So I'm not sold on it. The fact that 4E is better inherently than 5E. I think it's just do you like chocolate or do you like vanilla ice cream, you know, like, or do you like a combination of the two, or do you like cherry, or do you like strawberry, or do you like a combination of, do you like Neapolitan? That's not right. But you know, like, it doesn't, you know, I think it's just, I really don't think there's a definitive thing. I think it's just, let's be open-minded to all of these kinds of things until we find things that we do or do not like, and then we can make our I don't like this because this part isn't for me, or these things just don't add up for me, and I think I'd rather do something like this, and not, this is bad because it's bad, right? It's really important, I think, that we recognize and understand that there's a lot of opinions that we can substantiate with facts, and we can also kind of talk about how we came to these conclusions on like subjective shit too, and we can talk about how these subjective things are affected, and we can really like hammer out why we like these things, but we don't need to resort to like saying that the 4E is like from Satan's asshole or whatever the fuck, right? It's not true. It's not a dysfunctional game. It's fine, right? It's just another D&D. And that's really what 4E is. It's just another D&D. It's just a little bit different. That's it. But everything's a little bit different from everything else. If you look at 2E and you look at its skills, right? 2E skills are on a percentile die instead of being a D20. They're completely different in that way. The way that you get those things, the way that you make characters, the classes and everything, it's all a little bit different. And 3.5 is different from 4E, and 4E is slightly different from 5E, but not too much. And like 3.5 is different than fucking 5E, absolutely. But yeah, you can't decide between 4th and 5th edition D&D. Play Warhammer. I like that. That's right, August. And oh, my internet is dying. Very cool. Good thing. I used to spin in my chair like that when I was a kid. I always did it so much that I would make myself sick, though. There you go, Lux. Yeah, I do that kind of too. Well, my internet is starting to die, so we're gonna move on to comments, because that's really more of a just me reading it to you thing. And then we're gonna be done for today. So I hope everybody liked the 4E coverage. We did something that made me want to my brain hurt. My brain hurt a lot. Made me want to my brain hurt. That's right, brain. That's how you say words. And then we did something that was a lot more positive, but still had a few things that I had some contentions with. So we're in a good way. We're in a good day. It's a good time. Okay. Ugh. So I don't know why my internet is fucking dying for no reason. I don't have anything open, do I? I can close Discord right now, I think. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm gonna read these to you. If they're a little framey or something, I'm sorry. The VOD will be clear. But right now I'm doing like 3,000 kilobytes, so I don't know what the fuck's happening. But we'll continue on. So, last time on TableTalk, discussion and discourse, we talked about gods, or I talked about gods. And I did a little bit of god building and stuff. So we have a few comments on that episode. That is first from Timothy Martin. Hello! It's been a while, I think. With this topic in mind, I would like to mix and match using D&D books and many different gods from our world and homebrew ones of my own, placing them around, seeing which groups follow them and how they act around each other. It's pretty cool to think about in the tabletop role-playing way, and I have an idea I have... Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, you have no punctuation here, I'm sorry. An idea I have is a cleric of Dionysus would heal party members using wine, for example. Okay, that's all I got. Thanks for the show, and have a nice day, bro. You too, Timothy. Thank you for that. Sounds cool. Do it. Alright. Yeah, and then we have Lux. This was on gods as well. Overall, I would stand by the statement that you can basically do anything you want with gods. The only hard rule is that it has to make some amount of sense. Yeah, that's fair. Also, you would probably want to keep the gods from dominating the setting to the point where there's no reason for the PCs to do anything. Yeah. If you're making a setting specifically for a role-playing campaign, you do not need to keep the system mechanics in mind, because you'll have to deal with them... Well, you do need to keep the system mechanics in mind, sorry. Because you'll have to deal with them somehow at some point. If you want to make your life easier, choose a set of domains for every god first, and then design the gods around those. If you go the other way around, you'll have to down the list of domains for every god and pick out the ones that fit that god the best. And that might not work out to the number of domains you wanted that god to have. If you want every official domain to be represented by a god in your setting, it's easier to divide the domains up first so you can be sure, rather than stretching your logic to try to justify pushing the last few domains into the profile of the god that comes closest to making sense for them. Yeah, I mean, that's another way to do it, absolutely. Typically a god with just a few domains is minor, while a god with a huge number of domains would appear to be overpowered even for a god. Look at the official D&D Pathfinder gods for an idea of how many domains a god should generally have. I think it's 3. Of course, it's your setting, so you can ultimately decide how many domains a god should have, but it may feel like a rough edge if the numbers are way outside of what's normal. That said, at the bare minimum, a god needs at least 2 domains because clerics are supposed to choose 2 domains. No. Not necessarily? What? They're supposed to? I thought it was only 1. Well, I don't know. I might be wrong on that. One other point to consider is that if a god has a large number of domains, clerics of that god have more freedom to mix and match domains than the clerics of a god with fewer domains would have. This might not be a balancing issue, since players choose their character's god, but it can make some choices harder to work with than others. Yeah. In terms of process, I would say that you should start your world building from the point of inspiration. If you get an idea for something about a pantheon that kicks you in the gut and tells you that you need to create it, then you should start with that idea and build out from there. But if you have no such inspiration, I would recommend seriously considering just putting the standard gods into your world. You can always still create your own gods individually and add them into the mix. Only create your own pantheon if the enjoyment of doing so is worth the time and effort that you will spend on it. Yeah. 3.5 clerics choose 2, I think. Oh. If that's the case, then that's news to me. Fact check yourself and fact check me. I once played a 4E game that was house ruled to fit the Warhammer world. That sounds sick. That sounds like it would work really well, actually. I want to GM's Zweihander, but I worry too much about GMing a game. Oh, just try it. You'll be fine. It'll be fun. My phone just went off. What's going on? Oh, people are talking about things, and I am doing the podcast. Okay. Sorry. Also, begin with the worshipper is only good advice if you're treating the gods as mythical. That is, either they don't really exist or they do exist, but the only thing to be known about them is whatever the mortals of the world happen to believe. If the gods are real and active enough that the people of the world would have accurate knowledge of them, you may well be better off creating the gods first, and then designing their worshippers around them. If a god exists and makes itself known, there will most assuredly be people who will worship it, if only for the simple fact that it is a god. True. Why would someone worship a god of death? Well, I think for half a second about what would happen if death didn't exist. If you think about it at all, you can easily imagine why you wouldn't want that. That's why it's a good thing for death to exist. If birth is going to happen, then death needs to accompany it. Accompany it. Yes. Yeah, that was a whole thing of a weird tangent that guy went on. I remember. We kept the combat system the same, but imported Warhammer Fantasy's skill system. That's sick. Yeah, hell yeah. Did away with death saves. Cool. See, it's just another way to play the game and take things that you want from other things. It's all cool, you know? Play other things. It's great. And to design worshippers, either look at how the god is beneficial to the world or look at how following a particular god would benefit someone. But at the same time, think of what a god would command of its worshippers. Gods aren't free power sources. You have to give them what they want to get the benefits they can provide. A good way to play it is that whatever a god represents, the god wants its followers to bring more of that into the world. And if the desires of two gods come into conflict, that can drive the followers of those gods to war with each other. Nope. Of course, for most campaigns... I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice now. Most campaigns, the gods are usually fairly distant from whatever the heroes are doing, but there's nothing wrong with a little war in heaven for the mortal world to get caught up in. That could work especially well if you want to run a campaign into the high levels. It can help hold the player's interest past those middle levels if you're willing to inflict some earth-shattering events upon the world, rather than trying to maintain the status quo perpetually. Players can be interested in such events, if only they can actually make it to the levels where they can happen. You can get there by building up to it, instead of letting the established order continue on until the players have had enough. But now I'm veering off into campaign design, which is probably best to save for another time. Or it might not be, but that sentence felt like a good way to end that comment. There you go. Nice. Thank you, Lux. Fact check myself. Unless the wiki is wrong, 3.5 clerics choose 2 domains. I'll have to get home before I can check the PHB. Okay. Wiki might or might not be wrong. I don't know. It's been quite a while since I've made a cleric in anything. Or at least thought about making a cleric in anything. Excuse me. Because clerics are cool. I just don't play clerics much, you know? It's just not something that I do a lot. And then Albert Stone on episode 57, a more extensive look at Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition and character creation, said, "Not bad, your channel needs more views and real subscribers. Get 4 views helps me a lot with that. Thanks for your video." Are you telling me to go to a thing that would buy views? Fuck off. If that's the case, no. But thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what this is, but don't recommend view bots or anything like that. That's stupid. If that is. If not, then I don't know. If I just get 4 views, it'll help. That's cool. Don't worry, we'll get 4 at least. I promise. I've had to play clerics way too much. I like clerics because I like being a support, but I also just don't play clerics a lot when I'm a support. You know? Anyway, Timothy Martin says on episode 103, ahoy there! Sailing back in time to watch the episode. Not much on the topic to say that was not already said, but I do agree with Boo in this episode that the guy in the first video had intense eyes. Lol. Have a nice day, everyone. Thanks, Timothy. He did. He did. Alright. Well. ASMR time. No. I'm very tired now. But I think that was a good little thing on 4E. I think we learned a lot. Maybe some things we're better off not to know. But yeah, thank you again, everybody, for coming and hanging out. It was fun, and I'm glad to have done so and finally get back to that 4E train that we have set on the rails a couple of times. Don't worry, there's more 4E stuff in the future. We'll definitely cover the topic a couple more times because there will never not be videos. Never not. Wow, good job, double negative. There will always be videos that are just hating on 4E for no fucking reason, and I don't want those to be things that we don't cover because it's just annoying, right? But yeah. Fun night. Have a great evening, everyone. You too, Indigo. I tolerate them because they have some potentially interesting abilities, but I really don't like getting stuck as the healer, personally. Yeah, that's why I'm glad that you can play not healer clerics a lot, you know? Literally, one of my clerics was Yulon. He was a half-orc cleric who was not that kind of cleric. He would rush into fights and stuff. He wouldn't heal, he wasn't just exclusively a healer. He would do longsword stuff. It was great. I built him with feats and stuff so that he could do that. It was a good time. I miss that guy. He died. Anyway, not in 3.5. He died in 5e. It's sad. Anyway, thank you to our patrons. That is, of course, once again, Draco Kraken, Mog Zero, Rick, aka Unit Rico, Slazer, Steely, Drake Cross, Chris, Doom Priest Lux, Frozen Spaghetti, and Kill Chrono. Appreciate you. Again, I'll do the thing of like, hey, if you want to join the Patreon or whatever, go for it. It's in the description. Everything's in the description. Videos, the channels, all that kind of stuff. Do take some time, if you will, if you want to, and go and check them out and see what's going on with them. Form your own opinions about them. We've only looked on the surface so far. Obviously, you know, you do whatever you want to do. We're not the boss of you. I'm not your dad, and I'm gonna go to bed. 4E fixes the healbot problem too. Yes, I do remember that. It is good. But yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna go. I'll see y'all next week. Don't know if we're doing anything on Thursday. We'll see if Boo's voice is up for it. If not, next week we'll do a new thing, a new big thing, a big ol' thing on the show. I don't know. I'm tired. I'm gonna go. Good night, everybody. Goodbye. Get out of here. I'm going to bed. Leave me be. I'm going now. I can see that you're saying things that I didn't read. I'm sorry. Doom Priest isn't a heal priest after all. That's true. An alignment problem is also fixing for you, I guess. Sure. I don't remember. But anyway, go on. Leave. I'm sleeping now.